This is We All Be, news-free Dixie for the 21st century. See how it works? Somewhere. Can you dig it?
And so just want you to know. Man, I looked at that smile on your face just now. And the first time I ever wished I was a photographer to take that picture and let the world see that honesty and that integrity. And know some of the things I know, how you drive all over the country to chase us down. Chase us down. Okay? We move so fast. I don't know if you're married, I don't know if you're a family, I don't know if you're a wife. Okay? But when we get on here, we bosom friends. Anytime I see you, I stop whatever I'm doing. Hey, my man, how are you? Hey. Hey, man, well, that's, I owe that to you. It's an obligation that you have. How old are you?
Oh, 36.
Well, you don't have the right to do what 36 people do. You don't have the right to go to the dance or go to the party. You don't have a right to take that trip to Europe when I might need that plane fare to fly somebody else, to feed my people that love me. Mm-hmm. You feed them. Oh, it's one thing being hungry from food. Right. There's another thing being hungry for information.
That's right.
And that's you the feeder. You got to be the farmer. You got to grow the crop. Huh? You got to till the grain. And at nighttime, when you hear something that sounds like water, you got to go and see if the crop's going to be flooded. That's your job, man.
Hey, everybody, this is Brother Ron. I am asking you all to do me a big favor. Think about supporting the We All Be movement. Your donation is tax deductible. The We All Be Group Incorporated is a recognized 501c3. And I'm just asking you all because I want to keep on bringing y'all quality work through the way that I know how to do best. And I'm going to sing my praises and toot my horn. A lot of y'all were not hip to Dick Gregory until Brother Ron brought him on the We All Be platform, until that Django review we did. Y'all seen another side of Judge Joe Brown, and Judge Joe Brown's message has been amplified. But it was We All Be that brought Judge Joe Brown to y'all back in 2014. And so many others. And we covered so many things. So help us out so we can help you all. Peace.
I, Julian Gordon, with this mortgage, relinquish part of my freedom to cite.
Guess who's biz back? Back again. Brother Ron. Tell a friend. Guess who's back and still black? Guess who's back and still black? It's me, it's Brother Ron. This is We All Be, news-free Dixie for the 21st century. It's been a long time. I know y'all been watching those Grammys or the Whammies or Wowies. And congratulations to Beyonce, the most decorated, awarded Grammy winner in history. She got nominated, it said, 88 times for the Grammys. Won by 32 of those, 88 times. I think Jay-Z got nominated for 88 times for Grammys, and he won his fair share of Grammys as well. So congratulations to Beyonce. She did a shout out to the queer community for inventing electronic dance music. Gotta be some black queers that did that, you know, uh, queer eye for the straight or queer ear for the straight music lover in you. And this is where all of these Black History Month still, Black History Matters. Okay. There's a lot to talk about. No, been a long time in the social media world. I stepped away a little bit. It's like everybody's talking, signifying about nothingness. And this is the reality that we live in today's world. It's your world. I heard that Chris Brown was complaining about not or getting beat out by Robert Glasper for the Grammy for Best R&B Album. First and foremost, shout out to Robert Glasper. Really been a consistent cat doing his thing for many, many years. Very gifted music artist, very creative, a truly creative entity. Stuff that I'm familiar with. Pretty good stuff. He got a very diverse palette. So, but I think Chris Brown just had a temper tantrum on social media. He said who the elf is, Robert Glasper and all this. And I heard that Chris Brown was nominated for a Grammy, 20 times, only won one time out the 20. And my thing is this: Chris Brown is a great artist. He is. I thought he was gonna be the second coming of Michael Jackson, but he got detoured a little bit about the Rihanna situation over a decade ago. Can't believe it's been over a decade. Was it about 2009 when the Chris Brown Rihanna incident happened? And since that time, he's been painted a bad boy. He's been a bad boy for a while. He was a good boy at first, and then he became a bad boy. And he's still very talented. He's the closest thing that we have to an MJ in this day and age. But they tarnish our dear brother Chris. But he allowed himself to get put in that situation. But a lot of times, like, I don't think it's all his fault either, because he's been blackballed in a certain way. He's so talented that they can't fully get rid of Chris Brown. But he's not the first and he won't be the last. But I don't really care for the Grammys. The only award show I really look at or pay attention to every now and then is the Oscars. I don't know why it's the Oscars. I think it's very interesting because normally the movie of the year represents the movie, or the political climate of the time. It's very political. It's not really about, I can almost say with the Grammys, it's really not about merit all the time. It's politics because you got people involved in voting for who they want to be uh, the winner. And I guess shout out to Ye. Ye was right about Beyonce. She is better than Taylor Swift. Evidently, she's the greatest artist in the history of music of the world, according to the Grammys. She's better to think about all the people: Aretha Franklin, Michael Jackson, Marvin Gaye, Elvis, Aaron Presley. I think Elvis won his Grammys for gospel music, for inspiration music of all things. So-called king of rock and roll. Think about Tupac never won a Grammy. Think about all the people that never been nominated, let alone won a Grammy. Chris Brown only got one Grammy out of 20 nominations, I think. And I don't know if it's true or not. It's 20, but think about Too Short. Has Too Short ever won a Grammy? Is Too Short could arguably be the greatest rapper of all time, and people may not think that, but think about the people he influenced. Even the Notorious B.I.G. was influenced by Too Short. Too Short, Oakdale player from the Oaktown. Too Short, like this. Too Short. I love Too Short, man, and he got staying power. Been doing it for a long, long time. But why do people put so much emphasis on this Grammy stuff, on Oscars? There's so many great artists that never won an Oscar, actors, directors, never won Oscars, great movies that made a lot of money at the box office, never been taken seriously for an Oscar, but you got movies nobody never heard of, except for a small group of so-called elites. And they win all the awards. And it's really interesting. I don't think Jimi Hendrix ever won a Grammy. Bob Marley, I don't think he never won a competitive. They give you a lifetime achievement because they know they messed up along the way. But you think about all the great artists. So Beyonce is the greatest artist. I know in the Rolling Stones greatest singers list, the top 200, and I don't agree with the list, but at the same time, I don't really care. Just like with the Billboard and what is it, Billboard and Vibe, they doing their 50 greatest rappers of all time, and I think they down to the last 12. Like the top 12 rappers of all time. They're going. I don't know if they have released that, but people complain. Well, Gucci Man number 38. Rick Ross is number 50. It's a lot of interesting ways. I don't really care if they're making any sense. If it's good conversation starters, I don't really care. It's like who has the bigger impact in hip hop, 50 or Eminem or Jay Z? I mean, it was between Jay Z and Eminem. Some people think that Jay Z has a bigger impact on hip hop than Eminem. And well, Jay Z is the most nominated rapper of all time as far as Grammys. He got nominated for 88 times. I think he won more Grammys than any other rapper. It goes back and forth with Ye and Jay Z. They go back and forth who got the most Grammys. I think Jay Z probably going to edge out Ye for obvious reasons. Like I said, these things are not really about talent. A lot of times about politics. Now I would say this about Jay Z. I don't care what nobody say. People talking about well he never led in his prime, and it's subjective. All this stuff is subjective. But Jay Z, to me, for me, and I'm not a rapper. He's a rapper's rapper. To me, he's my solid number two. I mean, I can listen to Jigga, man. Jigga got a catalog. I don't know why people I like Jay Z ain't been putting down things on a consistent basis ever since he stepped on the scene. When he was rapping real fast, try to be like Twister, but Jay Z adapt to the times. Jay Z has had an impact. You think of even how he changed Def Jam when he was running Def Jam. They got rid of DMX. DMX arguably saved Def Jam. He brought in the trap rappers like Rick Ross and Jeezy. Jay Z brought them on. He put them on, right? But I'm not gonna. It's not even that. I'm not gonna talk about this tonight. We're gonna talk about the Tyre Nichols situation in the M. Shout out to everybody who's tuning in or tune out to tune in to get in where you fit in, man. Look at the chat. A lot of times I freestyle. I'm trying to hit a certain mark and get out of here. Thank y'all for tuning in, tuning out. I know a lot of people say they don't get the notifications. Like they really blackball. I mean, they really don't want me. I this is fascinating. I'm doing this really. It's weird because I had a premonition. Well, not have a premonition, but what do you call it? An epiphany. I had an epiphany this past weekend. Now this Monday, so it was the beginning of a new day, a new week rather too. New week starts on Sunday, so it's not the weekend. It's the week began on Sunday. The week begins on Sunday, man. And so I just like thinking about it. I had a lot of stuff going on. Part of this group, our show on the main gallery downtown Memphis. I'll post about that this week, and it was great. It's a great show, phenomenal show, great artists, beautiful people, beautiful art. Who can ask for anything more? But I realize now, if you start to think about it, because really, like I saw the Tyre Nichols political rally, that wasn't a funeral, that wasn't a homegoing, that was business or politics as usual. I was really feeling it like that. It was some good moments I seen. And I'm going to talk a little bit about my thoughts about the funeral or the second homegoing of Tyre Nichols. A lot of people said it was an empty casket. I'm not really too concerned about that because I know they had a memorial service for Tyre on January the 17th, the day after King Day. It was on that just Tuesday, and they were protesting at different places around on King Day about what happened to Tyre Nichols. There's a couple of observations I made, and I want to share with you all for the record on We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century. And so tell a friend, share this link, spread the good news. And also, if you like the words from Brother Herb, please spread the word. Subscribe to We All Be TV. You could donate. You know how to do it. This is how we do it. Cash App you support. Zelle, Google Pay, PayPal, Zemo, or Vimo, excuse me. Hello, Vimo. Or you can sign the Patreon, .com// We All Be. Let me see. Trying to get this out, get more people in the chat room. Thank you all for tuning out to tune in to get in where you fit in on We All Be. And I'll try to talk slow as possible. I actually met a person. I know a person talk faster than me, and she's a school teacher. She's very popular, very great at the King's English. Interesting person, but she talk real fast. She talk hella fast, and I don't know if her students catching everything she's saying, but evidently she's good at what she does. A lot of the kids love her. They love her, but she get moved around a lot, like Dion. She's like prime time. She's like the prime time Deion Sanders, an English teacher. She get moved around a lot, but still very effective. She got Hall of Fame status with her students. But the Tyre Nichols thing, right? Let me shout out the chat. Okay. Alchemist Handbook. Welcome to the show. Thank you. All right. Shaq into his house. The real deal. Shaq. All right. Thank you. Brother from Accra. Greetings to you. Yes. I got some connections to Ghana through my family tree. I come from actually a lot of revolutionaries, which is interesting. A lot of creative beings and revolutionaries are in my family trees, man. A lot of entertainers, artists, activists, artivists. I'm just now discovering on the last several years. I'm gonna talk about that a little bit. Dunny. All right, Dunny. Dunny, son. What's up, son? Like, yo, man. Yo, money. What's up, Dunny? Hey, Luna. The stars are out tonight. The stars are out tonight. I love Billy Eckstein. That's not Mr. B. Billy Eckstein should have been bigger than Sinatra. Somebody asked me, you should do a story on Billy Eckstein. I could do something on Mr. B, but once you support We All Be, why I do stuff? People make these suggestions about what I should cover and do. I'm only one person. It's not even important what I got to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. You see how it works, right? There's a lot to talk about. All right. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. What's in a Grammy? I don't even look at none of the show. It shows I have yet to see all of Beyonce's Lemonade. I don't even think I sat down and actually watch it at all. I saw little snippets online. And that when did Lemonade come out? 2016. Now I like Beyonce. I like Destiny Child. I like some of her stuff Beyonce did a album. Her solo album came out 20 years ago, 21 years ago. I like the old Beyonce. I have no issue with Beyonce. I believe she was ranked in the Rolling Stones top 200 singers of all time. I think they ranked Beyonce number 8, which is interesting. Now they had Aretha number 1. No problem with that. I think they had Whitney Houston number 2. I think Sam Cooke number 3. Okay, that's fine. Really, it's interesting who they left out. I don't think they had Ron Isley in there. They put some people in just to be, I guess, diversity, inclusion, or whatever. But the only thing they had Ron Isley in there. Ron Isley ain't one of the best or greatest singers of all time. I don't know. It's interesting. Yeah, Too Short, Freaky Tales. These are the tales, the freaky. Well, it's the sea tales, right? These are the tales, the freaky tales. These are the tales that I tell. So where if you don't like my dirty raps, you can go to hello to a dog on the mic telling cock-a-doodle-doo tales. I love Too Short, man. He could be the greatest rapper of all time. He influenced a lot of people. I'm telling you, he helped Snoop. He helped Notorious B.I.G. A lot of rappers ate off Too Short. I'm Short Dog Player. I'm in the house, Oak Town. Everybody rapped with Too Short. He rapped with everybody. Living legend. He should get an honorary Grammy. Come on now. Somebody said, "Hey, Cinnamon Sunshine. I think I know who you are. You that Memphis Cinnamon. Well, it's an eye to behold. Beyonce is great. She's iconic. People can't dismiss Beyonce. Beyonce has had an impact on the culture, and she's been consistent with her impact. She's not on my Mount Rushmore of female singers. I like Aretha Franklin. I like Dinah Washington. I like Billie Holiday. Those my singers, man. I love those women, singers. Whitney, she's phenomenal, but she's not on my Mount Rushmore. Not because she's not great, because I don't think you can rank greatness. Real greatness is not really about somebody being better. It's like, okay, I love jazz, right? Miles Davis. Miles Davis was phenomenal. as a visionary. He was not just a trumpet player, but he was a music visionary. He changed the game, kind of like how Picasso did. He had all these different expressions and modes and periods he was in, right? But was he the greatest trumpet player? You know, he didn't have the same range as let's say like a Dizzy Gillespie or a sound, a full sound like a Clifford Brown or Fats Navarro, or he wasn't Lee Morgan. You know, he couldn't play like Dizzy and Fats Navarro, and he couldn't play trumpet like they did as far as fast. But Miles had something else. You know, he had a unique ear. His ear was interesting, where he chose to pick out. Now, so he had charisma. He had catch. He could attract to play the things he couldn't play. Like he ain't worried about trying to be the greatest high note trumpet player. You know, he got John Coltrane. He could get Bill Evans or Herbie Hancock or Wayne Shorter. He could just attract people. Bird was interested in Miles. He saw something in Miles. You know, Bird had a thing about picking out, you know, very unique trumpet players, not just Miles Davis, but also Chet Baker. That was a cold white boy. Chet Baker was a cold white. He was like the Elvis of jazz almost. Chet had the look. He was, you know, very handsome cat, movie style looks. He actually did some movies. Had a trumpet sound that was reminiscent of Miles, but had his own little thing. Could actually sing. He was a balladeer. I think Ethan Hawke did an interesting movie that you know he played Chet Baker, but Ethan Hawke kind of did to me like the guy who played Elvis. People say, "Oh, he looks like he didn't like Elvis to me, but he did a hell of a job in terms of his acting." And Ethan Hawke don't look like no Chet Baker. Chet Baker had a unique look like Elvis. Look up pictures of a young Chet Baker. He had a unique look about him, like a James Dean. If James Dean was playing trumpet, okay. But anyway, to each their own. I'm gonna do a show about all that later on in the week sometime. I want to talk about Tyre Nichols. I'm getting sidetracked. It's not your fault. You see what I'm saying? Okay. Yeah, Donald Byrd was phenomenal, man. Donald Byrd don't get enough credit, man, because he did. Shout out to the one B, because he posted a win parade that Donald Byrd did. Donald Byrd did some iconic songs that he don't get credit for. I mean, I think he was an influence on people like Herbie Hancock and all them guys. He made jazz popular again because you know he did some stuff with Gangstar. You know, shout out to Guru. You know, that Guru, late great Guru, Gangstar, him and DJ Premier, they did that jazz mashup stuff they was doing. Donald had some amazing stuff, man. Like that Wind Parade. See, I love one of my favorite Tupac songs of all time is Late Night with DJ Quick. And DJ Quick is such an underrated hip hop producer. He's like in my top five for me. DJ Quick, he's one of the greatest. I mean, you know, Dre get a lot of credit, but DJ Quick had his own thing, man. I love it. But they sample Wind Parade, and I listened to Wind. I started listening to Wind Parade on repeat last week, man. I love that stuff. But Donald Byrd was unique, man, because he was trying to reclaim jazz in a way for black people. And he was doing it in a very sincere, authentic way. He was trying to reclaim our music for us. So I love Donald Byrd, man. Yeah, there's a lot of them. You naming them. You name a lot of her. You name a lot of them. But uh let's get back to this Tyre Nichols thing, like the funeral, right? I went to Mike Brown's funeral or political rally that happened in August of 2014. It don't even say it'll be like 8 years. What is it? Wait a minute. Whoa. It gonna be 9 years this summer. This August will be 9 years since Mike Brown was lying out in the hot sun, baking like a potato for hours in Ferguson, Missouri. I don't call it Missouri or Missouri. I call it the state of misery. I went to college up at the state of misery. Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri. Not Missouri or Missouri, but misery. A long history of mistreating black folks in their show me state. Show me racism. Show me segregation. That's St. Louis. You can find me in St. Louis. But anyway, I went and covered the Mike Brown situation for several days in St. Louis. I even actually went to his funeral, homegoing political rally. it was really a circus. It was really like, he had people from all over. Bishop T.D. Jakes came in with more bodyguards than the president. Then Spike Lee came in. Everybody how they was did in Memphis last week with you had Spike Lee, the other victim families, Michael Eric Dyson, Dr. Michael Eric Dyson was there. Uh it was like a circus, man. And we had the ice storm, so that was another great reason for me to stay away and stay off the road. I'm sure the streets were cleared near Mississippi Boulevard because the vice president came through, Kamala Harris, and I actually was surprised she wasn't laughing like she do that weird hyena, nervous laugh that she does at the most inappropriate of moments. And you could tell she rehearsed her a little bit. She was reading off a cell phone or smartphone, but you could tell that Vice President Imhoff, I'm gonna call her Madam Vice President Imhoff. Her husband named Imhoff. I'm gonna call her Imhoff. I'm gonna call her Imhoff. Imhoff. Her husband named Imhoff. I'm gonna call him Imhoff. I'm gonna start calling him Mr. Harris. Then I don't know, Second Gentleman Harris. That's kind of weird. But what was crazy about it was like Al Sharpton, right? Al, how are you gonna eulogize a person you never met? I don't get when people eulogize strangers. When you have strangers eulogizing strangers, and it's like this is not about Tyre. When you get Al Sharpton involved, it's not about the victim at all. It's not. Because you think about it's just a revolving door of this BS. Because you got 9 years, we still getting black folks getting annihilated and taken out of here by the protect and serve people. So why are we still having black folks getting knocked off like this? And why is it that they always bring in Right Reverend Al Sharpton, government informant, mob informant Al Sharpton? Some of y'all call him Al Charlatan. I don't know, Reverend Al Charlatan. Why they keep on bringing the usual suspects in? This is not about no justice. This is just us. You even had Representative Cheryl, what's her name? Shirley Jackson Lee or something? The one from Houston that they replaced Mickey Leland. They knocked off Mickey Leland. A lot of y'all never heard of Mickey Leland. Look up Mickey Leland. See, this is what they do. You knock off King, you knock off Fred Hampton, you replace him with Jesse Jackson. That's what they do. It's a knockoff game. But Al, man, it's like nobody try to correct Al. And Al, he do his thing. He good at what he does. I'll give him his props. He's very good at what he does. But Al said he called the boy Tyre Nichols. His name is Tyre, man. Then he kept on, and then he said he was 39 years old. They say he's 29. But Al kept on, he said 39, Tyre Nichols, and he kept on confusing victims with it. He getting people confused, all the people he eulogized. Think about it. This year will be the 3-year anniversary of George Floyd. It's like the time is flying. And Al was the eulogist for George Floyd, and he didn't know that brother like that. And really, if you research the life of George Floyd, was there anything good to talk about? I mean, no disrespect to the dead. I'm just saying, like, it's just a weird time we're living in where, so you want to tell kids, when I grow up, I want to be just like George Floyd. When I grow up, I want to be just like Tyre Nichols. Now, I'm not saying nothing wrong with the brother's lives. I'm saying I'm confused about it's weird. I don't think y'all understand what I'm trying to get at here. I'm saying is, so we want our kids to grow up to be victims. So we worship at the altar of victimhood. That's what black folks are saying to me. That we worship at the altar of victimhood. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, in the words of Biggie, you're nobody till somebody kills you. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's weird because, like, especially like they waited to Black History Month to have his second memorial. I'm not even knocking Tyre. Tyre sounds like a cool guy. He's like an alternative guy. Kind of like I am. I'm in a town like Memphis, y'all don't have no understanding how it is to be brother run in Memphis. I have never been fully loved or accepted or appreciated in my own town, but it's very biblical. But I never got the acceptance or the love. People they know what I do, who I am, but they never tell me. They never. I mean, it's weird, man. I'm in a town I shouldn't be in. I need to find. I've been really thinking about where I need to go. But I think a lot of my problem is that I didn't play the game, and I didn't know I was supposed to play the game. I'm just now learning at 42. I should have maybe became an alpha, because a lot my dad, my sperm donor, he's an alpha, right? I learned in my 40s, late 30s, my 40s, that a significant group of people on my father's mom's side of the family, they some unique, interesting people. A lot of them were Masons. A lot of them they had prominent positions, and they were Masons. They were Prince Hall Masons. One of my cousins, Julian Mayfield, who was a good friend of Robert F. Williams, used to get guns from Robert F. Williams from Harlem, from up in New York. He used to get them gangsters like Bumpy Johnson. I think Bumpy Johnson used to give my cousin Julian Mayfield's guns for Robert F. Williams down in North Carolina. Just Julian Mayfield, he's a phenomenal person. He doesn't get the respect that he deserves from our own people. He did a lot of things to help try to liberate Black people. And I remember talking to his son, one of his sons, and he said that his father went to Chicago when he was a young man. And he met one of our relatives who I think he was part of the Pullman Porters, but also he was a big time national recognized leader of the Prince Hall Freemasons out of Chicago. So I'm learning now. You think about all our leaders, our so-called successful Black people, our leaders, even Kamala Imhoff. She's an AKA, right? Chuck and Pearls. Chucks and Pearls. Divine Nine, right? Think about all our leaders, even entertainers like Steve Harvey, Ricky Smiley. Think Shaq, they all Omegas, right? Jesse Jackson's Omega. Ain't he Omega? So all these folks are a part of fraction sororities, they Masons, they Eastern Stars. I didn't get the memo. Because had I got the memo, I'd probably be well known, but I'd be famous and wealthy. I'd probably be making 6 or 7 figures right now if I knew how to play the game. Nobody never told me, Ron, you got to join these organizations, these secret societies, in order to be somebody in the system that you don't count unless you join, unless you become a gatekeeper. See, that was Steve Coakley exposed. Because you thinking that everybody getting on merit, that everybody's getting these positions and getting all these making this money and getting this recognition because they earned it. No, because they associated. Even Dr. King was an alpha. I don't think Dr. King was a Mason, but he was an alpha. You got to be part of their boule. It's funny. You think about the rise of the Divine Nine comes around the same time they get rid of Booker T. Washington. I ain't saying that who is they. Booker T. Washington, I think his last public speech was at Yale, the home of Skull and Bones. William Howard Taft, who was a part of Skull and Bones, former president of the United States, I think he shook Booker T. Washington's hand when he was at Yale. And William Howard Taft was the president after Theodore Roosevelt. He was his vice president, but also he was Skull and Bones. Comes from a very prominent Taft family from Ohio. So he became a Supreme Court justice later on. So he's very interesting. But Booker T. Washington spoke at Yale. Next thing you know, he's dead. Booker T. Washington spoke out against the U.S. occupation of Haiti. Wrote about it in the New York Age that was ran and owned by the brilliant T. Thomas Fortune, one of our forgotten Black media pioneers, T. Thomas Fortune, who helped Ida B. Wells when she got ran out of Memphis, back in the day. Next thing you know, he was dead. Nobody really knows how he died. But if you talk to the old timers, they all gone. But the people that was, in those secrets, in the Black boule, they say he was poisoned by a Haitian. A Haitian poisoned Booker T. Washington. But it's funny how Divine Nine comes up around the same time Booker T. Washington, who was recognized as the Black leader of a Black America, was taken out of here. I'm not saying they had anything to do with it. I'm just saying it's weird, these coincidences, right? So, but think about everybody that we admire, all these celebrities, entertainers, news people. They're all part of like frats and sororities and like the Eastern Star and the Masons, Prince Hall especially. So it's interesting. So now I realize this is what this is about. Just like you look at the Grammys, it's not really about talent. Beyonce and them, Jay-Z, they talk about, they hang around folks that do spirit cooking, right? Jay-Z did that Picasso song. He did the Picasso video. Check out the Picasso video. Look who's in the Picasso video. It's a woman in there. No, they talk about spirit cooking and all this stuff. This is what these elites do. It's not just relegated to the black boule, but I'm talking about even the founder of the American space program, Jack Parsons, was into sex magic. He was a follower of Aleister Crowley. Sex magic. Look up sex magic. And, sex is used to manifest things. How we get here? We got here through sexual. Sexual, it can be a tool to heal and to create and manifest and duplicate, replicate, whatever, procreate. So this is nothing new. But yeah, but look at all the people, like the ministers, the pastors, they all affiliated with different frats and sororities and other organizations. So they get to speak. Every single last one of those pastors that spoke at Tyre Nichols, Tyre Nichols, not Tyre Nichols, homegoing political rally. They all part of some type of frat. I guarantee you that. And being a black minister is a frat in and of itself. So all them guys are affiliated. Everybody's in the gang. Gang, right? So that's the trick. You got to join a frat or sorority and other organizations, Jack and Jill, stuff like that, to be somebody in Black America. Because really, these people are just the gatekeepers. You can't serve but one master. You can't serve two masters. So who are they really helping? If we still going through the same homegoing political rallies, like Mike Brown will be 9 years in August, and yet we still got more victims. Yeah, you got the anti-Asian hate bill. How many Asians had to die for that? How many Asians had to die for the Asian anti-hate Asian bill? What do we call it? How many black folks been lynched before they even passed something that's called an anti-lynching bill? How many black folks been killed over the years? How many black folks they still found hanging from trees in white neighborhoods or find hanging in jail cells? Whatever happened to Sandra Bland? We don't really know. We don't even know what type of garbage bag, the brand of God. I even said that summer, if she hanged herself with a garbage bag, what was the brand? So we could test it ourselves to see if the theory holds up. See, we don't critical think at all. We just emotional beings. And really, humanity is emotional. But black folks, I'm dealing with my people. We were hyper emotional. It's like people. Come on, man. Is it the Wi-Fi getting distorted over here? Is it being distorted, man? This is what I'm going to say. The number one news in America is gossip, celebrity news, right? Number one news is gossip, bread and circus news, right? It's really not news, it's BS, but it keeps you distracted while they do what they want to do. So for people to say that, you're trying to find like, what is there a rhyme and reason to the madness that this brother Tyre Nichols lost his life like this at the hands of 5 black cops? And we're trying to find a pattern here. So people start getting upset when people suggested that Tyre may have been killed over a woman. There's a lot of guys that have been killed over Kit Kat, over community meow. I think it's really stupid to kill anybody over something like that. might understand if you might want to take somebody out over eggs. I don't know. I'm just joking, but not those eggs. But now I'm just look. I remember. Okay, I'll tell you an example. Like I saw that, because I remember I had a classmate who was a cop. He kept on posting around. No, he got killed over a woman. Like this was about a woman. This was about a woman. And I respect the brother. And then I started seeing people post on some of the stuff I've been posting. Oh, this is about a woman. And then somebody sent me something. Y'all know who this guy is. Y'all love this guy. He sent me something in text. I said, cool. This could be possible. This makes sense. So what I did, I posted it on my Facebook page. It's kind of like I did what a Kyrie Irving did. Kyrie posted the link from Hebrews, the Negroes on his page. He didn't put no caption about what he thought about it. He just posted something and got him all type of trouble. I posted something that somebody shared with me to get people response. I was curious about what other people said about this. Then the folks went at me on Facebook about me posting what I posted. I didn't take it down, but it's funny. It's people I didn't know existed. They even paid attention to what I've been doing on social media. Haven't heard from these people in years. One dude that I never hear from, I wish him happy birthday just about every year. I never hear from him. He said, "Man, brother Ron, I thought somebody hacked your phone. You couldn't be posting this." And remember, he's part of that boule. He's Dr. So-and-so. He's part of the boule. He's well gainfully employed. You know, Ron is struggle with the struggle beard and all this crap. I'm just struggling, trying to, that, yeah, I talking about that 5% stuff, the poor righteous teacher and 85% deaf, dumb, and blind, and the 10% gatekeeper. He wasn't the gatekeeper. So he had the nerve to come at me talking about, I thought somebody hacked your phone, brother Ron, for you post something like this. Like, man, I don't even hear from this guy. Then I had a prominent minister talking about, I would never thought you would post rumors, brother Ron. I thought you would never post. The most gossiping people are black preachers, man. They gossip more than anybody. Trust me, I've been around black preachers. They be spreading so much gospel, it's ridiculous. And he talking about, I said, I ain't hear from this brother in years. Man, I be posting. I try to make sure I post happy birthdays for even people I've never met in life on Facebook. Cause I know how hard it is for people, and everybody don't want to be recognized. But these folks come at me like they crazy, man. And all I did was post something that, hey, he was messing around, something about a girl. The officer, he was involved with the girl, with his baby mama. I don't know what you don't want to think that this police officers going around just acting like this just because. You don't want to think that. You want to think it was maybe something personal. And that's why I was thinking. So I just posted. I didn't endorse it. I just post things, and I say a lot of crazy stuff that people think. Like I said, we know the FBI, the gun that got King came from the FBI. They don't say nothing. They all run. But I see now these folks be lurking on my social media pages. And then I post this. This was the opportune time. All the good things I've done in the community, and I continue to do all these things I do that cost me money I don't have in the community. I'm not just podcasting and all this. I'm actually doing stuff in the community, working with grassroots organizations and individuals to try to effect change where I'm at, in the place where I live. And these bozos come out to me over this. I didn't even write this thing. I was just sharing what because people trying to make sense. Because, like, to me, no disrespect to his parents, but you don't know everything about your kid's personal sex life. My mom don't know all the things I'm into, my fetishes and stuff like that, my sexual history. She don't know it like that. She might know some. They're like, oh, what happened to the Cheryl or whoever. I'm just making up names. Y'all used to be like, what happened to, she don't know everything I'm into. Nobody knows. I don't want to know everything she's into. So for the parents to say, well, the rumors ain't true, they never specify. Okay, Al did specify. But at the same time, you don't know everything your guy was into. With Tyre, he was a human being like everybody else. He got his little fetishes and quirks, and why he did like everybody else. Like I tell people all the time, if you follow me around the whole day, you're gonna be disappointed in me. Don't follow, just treat me like the mailman. Don't worry about if I'm doing crystal mail for crack. Just as long as I bring your mail on time, what you need to get, don't worry about what the mailman do on the rest of his route. Don't worry about me. And that's the thing I think is weird about black people, and not just black people, but they're black people like Dr. Umar Johnson. I don't want to hear like people like, what is this thing about? Y'all worry about what Dr. Umar Johnson doing with the money. If you never gave him any money, don't worry about it. And the folks that still giving them money, evidently he's doing something for them. And all this compared with, so and so open, why he haven't opened? Well, that's his business. That's what he want to do. Y'all don't say, well, let's audit the IRS. Like the same thing with the Trump thing. Y'all are on Trump, but look at Biden. All this crap Biden into, and his son and his family, and y'all mad at Trump. It's ridiculous, man. I was like, our people weird, man. But yeah, it was funny. They come after me like that. But anyway, I left it up there. People tell me to take it down and say, it already got 9 shares, brother Ron. You got people they got 5,000 plus shares on stuff like that, and I only got 9 shares. I mean, they shadow banning me. Oh, you got 9 shares already, brother Ron. It's been up there for 5 hours. You got folks that put stuff up right away and get like 100,000 shares. Well, they worry about brother Ron. Why everybody worry about what I post? Folks always trying to control what I say and what I think. I never seen such ridiculousness from people, even people that know me, or they don't really know me. I'm talking about family, so-called family. They want to control what brother Ron gonna say. I never seen. I don't got no criminal record. I ain't no dang thug. I know some Omegas that were thugs. There was some of the Omega. They said we gonna disown these boys. We gonna disown these clowns. I used to go to parties. Omega be the biggest thugs at the dance. They be pushing people out the way. I remember 20-something years ago, I was a party at my school that I went to. And these Omegas from the St. Louis chapter. One of these dudes, I was just dancing. I was oblivious. I was dancing with a girl, dancing with somebody. This dude, like, I ain't know I was about to hit their line, interfere with their little line dance. What the hell they be doing? Their little tribal crap. This dude gonna push me. And people like, oh. And I look at the dude like, because he knew that if I try to do something to him, his boys had his back. So that's a coward to me. Because he knew he pushed me. He had to push me like that. But he did. And I look at him and I said, well, F it, man. And I kept on dancing. And I stayed the whole, I'm saying, but like, people, it's a song that Tupac did. You ain't nothing about your homeboys. A lot of these folks join these organizations so they could be cowards in the crowd. They could throw rocks and hide their hands and hide in the crowd, man. That's what they're all about. Everybody's in the game. So for the Omegas, say we're gonna disown them, but we know y'all reputation. Like I said, you can't serve 2 masters at one time. So it is what it is, man. It is what it is. But this whole thing is problematic. Police Chief Davis, she's the problem. She needs to resign. She's the Dr. Frankenstein that created these monsters. If you look at the story, Frankenstein wasn't a monster. Dr. Frankenstein was the monster. Everywhere she go, she create these issues. Red Dog Unit down in Atlanta. I ain't gonna never forget when that black woman got killed. Katherine Johnson, the 92-year-old black woman. I think that happened was they like around Thanksgiving 2008. I think Al Sharpton was involved in that. I think Al Sharpton went down there and did her eulogy. He probably never met her, even though she lived to be 92 years old. I don't think he ever met the woman, but I think Al Sharpton was involved in that. It's like, I can't get mad. Don't hate the player, hate the game, baby. Y'all be falling for this crap. I just can't no more, man. Because our people, we just can't fodder for everybody else's agenda. We just collateral damage for everybody else's agenda. I was not feeling that political rally. I wasn't. Don't do me no favors. Don't help Al Sharpton speak at my stuff, man. He don't need. I speak for myself. I'll do my own eulogy, and they'll play it. They'll live stream my own eulogy. I'll make sure I record my own eulogy before I get out of here. Okay, I don't want no Al Sharpton, nobody clowns, nobody speaking for me. I want all these preachers, these pastors that think I'm the devil speaking on me because I voted for Trump. I don't want none of them speaking on me. But Police Chief Davis need to be gone. And really, Mayor Strickland, the white mayor, he's leaving after this year anyway. But I think Police Chief, she's a lame duck too, because the next mayor coming in ain't gonna keep her. If they do keep this person, or he or she or whoever, they a fool. Because Chief Davis, her blackmail game must be better than Jacob Hoover's. I don't see how she keep on getting jobs with her reputation. Because with Chief Davis, see something awful about her. Awful, in my opinion, because the way she comes off. She's not a bad looking woman. She's married. She's a mother. She says she's media savvy. She know how to say the right things at the right time. She's good getting sound bites from. She projects well, but that's the problem. You can't trust people like that. And you look at her history, it lets you know she can't be trusted because she keep on getting these high profile jobs. So her blackmail game must be better than Jacob Hoover's. The stuff she doing probably make Jacob Hoover blush. You know what I'm saying? So don't hate the player, hate the game though. But with Al and them, even with Ben Crump actually has gotten better in his speeches. He got more confidence because he's been doing this for a while. So many dead black people. I'm surprised Ben Crump don't own a fleet of funeral homes. He can make money all types of way off of black death. He's like a merchant of black death. And not disrespect to Ben Crump, he does what he do because y'all weird. I even talk to lawyers and they say, well, he don't do nothing. Yeah, he does something. He gets the money. Like he like Jerry Maguire of black trauma porn. Show me the money. Show me the money. Must be the money. Must be the money. He get the money. He gets the bag. He's the bag man. He ain't doing nothing. Well, y'all expect we ain't don't want no justice. It's just us, man. Cause why we keep on getting killed like this? You know, because when you bring in Al and Ben, you know it's about media and about that money, honey. You can't bring Tyree back. I guess if they had stem cells, maybe they could clone Tyree Johnson. They probably been cloning people for a while. Boys from Brazil. Google that. Boys from Brazil. But I mean, it's a joke, man. You know how many black folks it takes to get a bill passed? How many dead black folks it takes to get a bill passed? It don't make a difference because the bill never passed. And my thing is weird is that I don't have no hatred towards the 5 black cops. I really don't. I think they got messed over by this whole thing, to be honest with you, because when white cops do things that's similar or even worse in some cases, and what could be worse? There's a lot of things that white cops have done, horrible things. I mean, not just white cops, but also cops with rank like sheriffs and stuff, and people with rank have done to black people over the generations, and they don't get punished for it. You look at Chicago, that cop that was kidnapping black people off the streets and torturing them in black sites. He worked as a Chicago police for decades. They cover for him. The system covered for them. You know? So what they say about the system. So what I'm saying, these 5 black cops did not happen in a vacuum. Evidently, they was been doing this to black folks for a while. They've been terrorizing black folks in the greater Memphis community for a while. Not a long time because they really ain't that they ain't been on force that long. I think the longest serving one been on force, 2017 or 2018, something like that. So these are actually relatively young cops because they all was born after 1990. So these are some young folks. I mean, I'm born in 1980, but they young to me. Like, it's like, damn, these guys, I could have been one of their substitute teachers in one of their schools. I don't know. But it's weird to think about how the white cops get treated versus black cops. Where's the fraternal order of police? Where are all these police unions, these advocates? Where are the people saying don't rush the judgment? Let's respect due process. Where are those people at? All I see is folks that's trying to throw these 5 black cops under the bus, like they the reason why everything is the way it is. They the product of why everything is the way it is. They didn't create it. They the monsters created by the Dr. Frankenstein system. But they was able to do this for a while. It just got out of hand. And even how they charge these cops, it's gonna be hard to prove some of these charges. So this is not a slam dunk case. Because there's certain things they get away with. They might not spend that much time in prison. But you know, but Tyre Nichols family, they'll get a bag. His son will get the bag. They're gonna be all right. They getting millions of dollars raised, and our people weird. It's like we think all we gotta do is throw money at a problem. That's not gonna help the problem go away. You gotta help actually a solution to get behind, but the system does not work out for solution-oriented work. See, when I'm trying to be a part of the solution and trying to solve problems, I'm really part of the problem for the system. That's why I don't get traction or support for the things that I do a lot of times. And you got some good people that know what we're up against. You got some folks that's very naive about what we're up against if you're trying to do the right thing, because the system does not reward good behavior. It doesn't. It tolerates good behaviors in certain. You think about Serpico, the cop, the New York cop that snitched on his people, that told on the dirty cops, right? You see how they did him. You know, Al Pacino played the movie Serpico, where he played Serpico. It was a good movie. They try to kill him on the job. His own fellow cops try to set him up. They got shot in the face and how he survived. But I'm saying they don't reward good behavior because even with Dr. King, see what I'm saying? Like this is what I'm talking about people. People think they gonna correct me on stuff. And I don't get everything right, but people kind of weird to me. Cause like even when I talk about Al Sharpton, right? About Al Sharpton saying he called him 39-year-old Tyre Nichols. And I made a reference to what he did. I talked about it. I said there was an interesting eulogy that Reverend Al Sharpton did for 39-year-old Tyre Nichols. And I got folks, I post that in my community section here on YouTube and on Facebook. People don't get nothing. People say they watched the funeral or political rally, but they weren't listening. I even met people that went in person to the political rally for Tyre Nichols. And they said, I didn't catch that. And my thing is, I was listening to it on YouTube. I said, let me rewind. Did he say 39 years old Tyre Nichols? Is he 29-year-old Tyre Nichols? I had to rewind that several times. Yeah, this dude said nobody tried to correct him. That's why you know he's a stranger. He don't know who Tyre Nichols was. He had no business eulogizing a stranger. But yet, you know, the family knows everybody know when Al getting involved. It's gonna be media attention. There's gonna be a beg involved, especially with Ben Crump. They partners now. They doing this, man. Yang yang in this thing. Yang yang in this thing. Okay? They getting it. Must be the money. Okay. Then Kamala brought in everybody, the usual suspects, on this hustle. Ask how that turned out for Tawana Brawley. You know, when Al started off, he was dealing stuff with automatics. The attorney at war for the people. The automatics is a great freedom fighter. A lot of us don't know who he is. He's still around. He's up in age now, but he was a mighty warrior. He was the lawyer that y'all want, but y'all don't support. That's the lawyer y'all think that Ben Crump should be. Automatics. Y'all don't even know who the hell Automatics is. And he's still around. And he's a great man, but we don't respect. He's an elder, but we don't respect those people. He's a real freedom fighter, attorney at war for the people. That's the lawyer y'all said y'all want Ben Crump to be, but we don't want those type of people. Y'all say y'all love Malcolm X. If Malcolm X was around today, y'all would have disinvited him from the Tyre Nichols political rally. Oh, Malcolm, you too radical. You not nonviolent enough. You not nonviolent. And then y'all be talking about King nonviolent. King had dudes with guns around him a lot of times. Y'all think King was just walking around with no protection? You remember that time when King was in Harlem signing books and black woman stabbed him in his chest, had he sneezed, the blade would have went into his heart, he would have bled out. It was cops that saved his life then. When King used to come to Memphis, he used to have all black Memphis police protecting him. He used to have all black Memphis police security detail that would protect him, except for the last times he came to Memphis, he had no protection. That's on design. That's bigger than the MPD. King, when he did the march against fear, when was James Meredith. James Meredith was interesting. He reminded me of Dick Gregory. I met him a couple years ago. He's an interesting dude. When James Meredith got shot by a sniper on the highway, it was King that completed it, along with other members of the movement that completed his march against fear. King had the Diggins for Defense from Louisiana come up there as protection. They were protecting Dr. King and the activists as they was marching down the highway. King had black men, Negroes with guns around him. He got killed because he had no Negroes with guns around him. The Memphis invaders were staying at the Lorraine, but Jesse told them to leave. According to sources, Jesse Jackson told them to leave, which was a weird time of the day. They were kicked out the hotel or motel, even though Dr. King wanted them to be a part of his movement to help them. He wanted them to help be organizers for the Poor People campaign that was happening in May of '68. But those are the guys that had guns. Had they been at the hotel or motel, Lorraine, they could quite have possibly exchanged gunfire. It's probably been more people dead. And not all the usual suspects that you think would be dead. So they got rid of the Memphis invaders. That was our version of the Black Panther Party. It had the guns, so they got rid of the guys with the guns. I remember talking to Charles Evers, the great Charles Evers, and when he ran the radio station down in Jackson. When I come to Jackson, I would try to do my best to visit and pay my respects to the late great Charles Evers, one of my favorite people from the civil rights era. The elder brother of Mega Evers, his brother Keeper. He said, run when Dr. King used to come to Jackson. He would run, not to walk, but run to my home. That's where he stayed. He would tell Charles, he said, Charles, I feel so comfortable because you got all the guns and goons. Okay. And Charles pulled out his revolver. He pulled it out for me. He said, Ron, I believe in the 3 G's. God, guns, and goons. Or he said, God, goons, and guns, but God, guns, and goons. He believed in the 3 G's. That's why he lived to be 97 years old. I wish he would have made it to 100. That would have been last year. But 2020 was tough on a lot of old timers that survived crazier things. But Dr. King had armed black folks around him, but when he got killed, he had nobody with guns around him. That's why he got killed. He had no protection. So when people tell me, Kyle posted Memphis Police Department's greatest hits, I included like 7 instances of police brutality that led to deaths of black people in Memphis history. I started with the Memphis Race Massacre of 1866. It was started by white cops because it was made at U.S. Colored Troops stationed near Memphis. So you got the white cops get into it with the U.S. Colored Troops and took it out on the black community, burned down schools, churches, homes, raped a lot of black women. Even a black trans woman was raped. You look at the testimony of this black trans woman that was raped by these white folks during the Memphis Race Massacre 1866. They destroyed black Memphis. You know, Robert Church, the founder, they say he's the first black millionaire of the South. He was shot in his head point blank range in his saloon on Beale Street and survived and testified before Congress. See, people don't understand the Memphis Race Massacre was the main reason why they started Reconstruction. The Reconstruction era that lasted for about a decade, where black folks was doing their black excellence best. Like we was excelling in government and business and everything. We was booming for 10 years, was because the Memphis Race Massacre of 1866, where all these black folks were killed and burned down and run out of Memphis. The Congress enacted the Reconstruction Act because they said, no, this is not right. We got to correct this. So, but every race riot or race massacre was started by some type of police misconduct. Never forget that all the race massacres and race riots you read about in America, history was started by police misconduct. Every single last one of them. So I had the Memphis Race Massacre, the People's Grocery lynching at the curve. It happened on March the 9th, 1892. Ivy Wells' best friend, Thomas Moss, well-respected black leader, business owners, along with his business associates, were kidnapped from the county jail and murdered by white people, including law enforcement. And you had white newspaper journalists that was there to capture the last words of Thomas Moss, who said, tell my people to go west because they can't get any justice here. This man was a black man who was a letter carrier. I think he was a postman, was well-respected position in the black community for decades, be a postman or letter carrier. And he was a businessman, entrepreneur. And Ivy Wells was the godmother to his daughter. And he had a son on the way. He pleaded that I'm a family man. My wife is pregnant. I got a little girl. Can y'all spare my life? You saw how they lynched his friends, blew their face off, blew their hands off, everything, horrible things. You put your fist in one of the guy's head. That's how big a hole they left in his head. And they said, no, we're going to kill you. So he said, okay, my last words is, tell my people to go west because they can't get any justice here. So Ivy Wells reprinted his last words in her newspaper. And about 6,000, 5,000, 6,000 black folks left Memphis. And a lot of them went where? Oklahoma. Black folks from Memphis helped started Black Wall Street in Tulsa. And what happened in Tulsa back in May of 21. You see how that works there, buddy? Pal. So I talk about people's grocery lynching. Um, Larry Payne, who was killed after Dr. King's last march by the police in Fowler Homes Projects back on March 28th, 1968. He was killed in front of witnesses. Police act like he had a knife, but people say he came out with his hands. He did his hands up, don't shoot. This is back in March 28th, 1968. 16-year-old Larry Payne killed by 25-year-old Officer Leslie Dean Jones, who was a Vietnam veteran. The Memphis Police Department and other entities protected this white man for over 50 years. He killed this boy in cold-blooded murder in front of witnesses. And they put a shot-off shotgun on into his mama's stomach when she tried to claim her son. See, that's my son. She said, "You better get away. You'll be a dad." And you know what? You know what they said to that woman. And I interviewed Larry Payne's mom back in December 2010, and she still had that trauma. Still was crying, trauma. You could hear it in her voice. That broke up their family. Larry Payne's dad died years later from a broken heart because of what they did to his son. And the family got ran out of Memphis, and they ended up in Flint, Michigan, of all places. So his Larry Payne mom ended up dying in Flint a couple years back, several years ago. She went from one hell situation to another hell situation. Man, I can't make this up, people. You got Elton Hayes. That's how it goes, but y'all can look that up. I'm getting y'all breadcrumbs. Elton Hayes, Larry Payne. Larry Payne, you spell Payne, Payne. Now, Dr. King called Larry Payne's mom. He gave his condolences, and he was planning to come back to Memphis, complete the march, and meet with the mom in person. So Larry Payne was killed after Dr. King's last march, Thursday, March 28th, 1968. They killed Dr. King the next Thursday, April 4th, 1968. That's how that works. Elton Hayes, also the Shannon Street Massacre of 83 that happened in January 1983. That happened 40 years ago. They killed old boy Tyre Nichols January the 7th, 2023 this year. But back on January the 10th, MPD, Memphis Police Department, got into a standoff with some black men in North Memphis on Shannon Street. Last a couple of days. A lot of controversy. Because these guys, allegedly it was a shootout, but the way the guys were found, they were found lined up on the floor, execution style. They were shot in the head, execution style. So there was no shootout. Well, they kidnapped a cop or held a cop hostage. Look up the Shannon Street Massacre. There's a documentary that came out about it some years ago, not that long ago. But they interviewed people that were involved, including family members. There's a lot of weird stuff that happened in the Shannon Street Massacre. 7 black men dead along with a police officer. And that was crazy. That was crazy. That's happened in 83. You got Darius Stewart, young black man who also worked at FedEx like a Tyre Nichols. What is about FedEx and these dudes getting killed like this? He was in a scuffle with a white officer, Connor Schilling, at a black church yard, New Direction Church, on New Direction Church property. Dr. Stacy Spencer is the residing pastor, but it happened on their property. They got I guess dash cam footage of them wrestling. Because Memphis is a capital of wrestling. A lot of great wrestlers came through Memphis. There's a lot of our history is amazing. But they was on the ground getting down. And the weird thing about the Darius Stewart thing is that this was a traffic stop, but he was not the driver of the car that was stopped. He was the passenger. So it sounded like to me that Darius and Connor had some type of relationship. Allegedly, there was another room that they were connected some type of way outside of that incident. But he was just a passenger. Why are you asking for the ID of the passenger? He's not the driver. And the cop allowed the driver and the other people to leave without no problem. And Darius was detained. And he fought with the officer. Yes, he was fighting for his life, and the officer killed him. And they brought no charges against Connor Schilling. He was allowed to resign. He was allowed to resign with no problem. They brought no charges against this dude for killing this man like this. Yet they want to character assassinate Darius Stewart. He already was killed by the police. And now they want to assassinate his character to make him like he deserved what he got, what he did deserve it. Because like FedEx is interesting. I worked at FedEx. Like everybody at one point in Memphis worked at FedEx. We called it the plantation, the hub, the distribution at the airport. We called it the plantation. You know, we got paid, but we was on the plantation. And I worked there one summer when I was home from college for several weeks. And I liked it back then because you could actually like jump seat, even as a part-time worker, I could jump seat around the country. I was able to go to New Jersey to visit a girl I was crazy about for a couple of days. And I thought she was gonna be my wife, but that's another story. But I was crazy. I was able to jump seat to Jersey because I was working at the hub this summer. But they do pretty extensive background checks at FedEx. They ain't gonna let you work without knowing if you have a criminal past. Now they do a very extensive background. For them to say that Darius Stewart was some type of degenerate, and it like these charges were suspect. The charges they talked about happened when he was a juvenile, and nothing came. But they like he had a warrant out for him, and the whole thing was weird. But I think they reopened the case now. I think the Department of Justice just reopened that case. But you got cases of Memphis cops doing crazy stuff over the years, even before old girl got there. I mean, there was a case not that long ago. This black cop kidnapped this dude that was messing around with his ex, her new boyfriend. This dude kidnapped this brother and killed him in the patrol car, and then brought along his friend to help get rid of the body. And now they both in jail. He got his friend caught up as an accessory after the fact. This is Memphis police doing this. I heard stories about Memphis police officer. It was one Memphis police officer allegedly that was pulling over black guys and then performing fellatio on them. They call it fellatio when you go down. I'm going down. I'm not going down. The cop went downtown on somebody. He going woo 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 wee 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 wee. It was a cop doing that to guys. He was arresting black dudes and giving them the business. I heard another story. I remember like this teenager was involved with this young police officer. And somehow the police officer killed the teenager. He almost got away with it, but they found out what really happened. You know, it's like a lot of this stuff happened within the last 10 years, last 5, 6, 7 years. The stuff that I'm talking about with the MPD. And then you got a situation where they saying there's people dressed as police officers going around robbing people. So, like, why would I want to stop for unmarked car, pull me over for so-called traffic violation, and you got plain clothes? You know what I'm saying? It's like it's so much stuff. I can't make this stuff up, people. You can look, you can Google some of this stuff I'm talking about easily. But another thing that bothered me about the whole thing with Tyre Nichols' funeral, they did not give props to what props were due. Regardless of what you think about the cussing pastor, Thaddeus Matthews, give that man his due. Because really, he was the one that really kept the case going before the big boys got in town. Before Al Sharpton and Ben Crump came to town, it was Thaddeus Matthews show that kept us informed about the situation. He posted it, the picture of him in his bed, you know, looking like y'all say Emmett Till. He posted it doing his shows on YouTube, and it got him in trouble with YouTube and with other social media for posting these photos and talking about this stuff. But it was him that made he exposed the 5 cops. He got the pressure put on the powers that be to out the white cop that was involved. That was Thaddeus Matthews, but he did not get one thank you from anybody involved that's going to benefit from this situation, this unfortunate situation. The parents, I ain't really knocking the parents. They have a lot going on. But Ben Crump did not thank him. He had a list of people he thanked, a list of activists. Shout out to the activists, but it was Thaddeus Matthews that was informing the people. In the words of the late great Ida B. Wells, the people must know before they can act, and there's no greater educator than the press. The people must know before they can act, and there is no greater educator than the press. Thaddeus has been doing this for 40 plus years. Thaddeus has broken stories that mainstream media follow behind him. I talked to so-called local media news veterans about Thaddeus off the record. they have a lot of respect for Thaddeus. Yeah, he is very iconoclastic. He could be he's not everybody's taste. I mean, he's the cussing pastor. A lot of people feel like he disrespects his callers, his viewers. I don't think he disrespects them. He giving them what they want. Kind of like, with Dick Gregory. Y'all thought, I mean, Dick Gregory, that stuff did bother me when he cursed me out and stuff like that. I think it was uncalled for a lot of ways. But I had noticed being with Dick, that some people love getting cursed out by Dick Gregory. It's like it was people that he didn't know when he felt like they was violating or infringing on his space, he would go off a little bit on them, and they loved it. They say I could tell, they could tell their kids and grandkids I got cursed out by the great Dick Gregory. Only thing difference is I got it on tape, so that is a part of my narrative. But Daddy is a hell of a journalist, investigative journalist. Now some of this stuff he be putting out there is really like I can't go for it. Like the Makitas thing. I don't think the Makita people was involved in Dolph situation. That's my take on it. But he has broken a lot of cases that would never got solved if he didn't get involved. And he got pretty good soul. But like even with this case with Tyre Nichols, he kept us aware about certain things, and he by him doing what he's doing, it put pressure on the powers that be to expose. But my thing is, I don't like how they doing the black cops, the former black cops. They should get the same type of treatment that white cops get. It takes a FOIA, Freedom of Information request to get the names of these white officers to even get a photograph, let alone a Facebook photo or official photo. But these folks were so quick to throw these 5 black cops under the bus. But I don't think all them charges are going to stick. They got pretty good defense lawyers. Some of them do. I don't think all them charges. It's not a slam dunk case like people think. Like what people say about OJ, it's a slam dunk case. Anytime somebody if you hear somebody say slam dunk case, run, because it's never a slam dunk case. It's always some type of technicality, some type of stuff. But with the Tyre Nichols thing, it's gonna be another one. And not me wishing there's gonna be another one. It's gonna be another one because we're not serious about stopping this. This could be stopped if people were serious about stopping this. But the people they bring in, they're making too much money off of this. They're getting too much notoriety. They're making too much money to make a difference. And that's the problem. I think when Al Sharpton first started, he had good intentions because he was with automatics. He did Tawana Brawley. That Tawana Brawley thing is weird. I actually met Tawana Brawley down in Atlanta at this event with automatics. I took a picture with automatics and Tawana Brawley, and CNN ran the picture several years ago. I had a friend of mine from a classmate who lives in L.A. said, "Brother Ron, you on CNN, man? You on CNN with Tawana Brawley?" I said, they used my picture from Facebook. Ain't give me no credit, but I was in the picture with Tawana Brawley and automatics. But we don't support the automatics, man. We don't support people like him. We support the Crumps because our thing is about money. It's about prestige. It's about materialism. We worship at the altar of God, oil, and drugs. Somebody said God stand for. Wait a minute. I said God, not God. God stands. God stand for guns, oils, and drugs. Right? Guns. Oh no! Wait a minute. Let me get it right. God. Somebody said God stand for gold, oil, and drugs. Gold, oil, and drugs. That's God. That's what a lot of us worship. We worship money. We worship materialism. We don't worship righteousness or truth. We don't respect truth. Like with the Tyre Nichols thing, he was a man. He had sexual relations. He got a 4-year-old son. So, and how a lot of people get killed over women. Over love triangles gone wrong. So this is nothing new. But to totally dismiss anything and everything because they're not being honest with us because the tape was edited. Whatever they released was not the whole full encounter. While they're hiring now, you got about 7 police officers that got let go. You got 2 sheriff deputies under investigation. You got a team of EMTs, 2 EMTs and a supervisor. They gone. Where does the cover up stop? Where does the rot go? The rot goes all the way to the top. That's where it goes. So this is where we at. I was not impressed. Like I said, I went to that circus show of a Mike Brown funeral, and I was covering Mike Brown. It was so weird. It was so hot. But Al Sharpton is what I call the cooler. You bring in Al Sharpton to cool people off. It's like it's this movie. I did a podcast about Al Sharpton's role in this civil rights mess several years ago, and I call it the cooler effect. It's in We All Be TV channel. I'm gonna post it when I get through with this in a few hours, I guess, because I can't believe I'm doing this. But the movie The Cooler stars Alec Baldwin as a casino boss or casino manager, and William H. Macy, a great actor, great character actor. He plays the cooler. And what the cooler job is to when you on a hot streak at the gaming tables in Vegas, they'll bring in the cooler to get by you to cool you off, to bring you bad luck, to cool you down, to end your hot streak. So when folks about to get hot, like whether it be Ferguson, Memphis, New York, L.A., here comes Al Sharpton, Minneapolis, here come Al to cool everything off. When folks said we're gonna have to get some get back, payback, revenge, retaliation out, here come Al. Non-valid, 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 non-valid. 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 Okay, that's Al. Okay. So yeah, he's the cooler. So he's brought in, and I remember when Ferguson, they ran Jesse Jackson out of town. They ran Jesse Jackson out of Ferguson. I was there for that. I saw Jesse. I saw him in the church. I like Jesse Jackson. He's interesting. Uh, everybody got they dark side, their vices, their shortcomings, but he don't get enough credit for some of the things he did do right. And well, Brother Ron, what you mean some of the things? I mean, research. Jesse he ain't do everything wasn't always for selfish reasons with Jesse. He's a human being like everybody else. But what's interesting, I'm gonna play this clip. Me and Jesse was staying at the same hotel at the airport. I saw Jesse talking to some women. I saw one of his guys said, "Hey man, Jesse, can I interview you, man? Is it cool that I interview Jesse, Reverend Jackson? Can I interview Mr. Jackson, Reverend Jackson?" His guy talked to Jesse. Jesse, yeah, he could interview me. So I saw him talking to the girls, women, and next thing I know, he was at the bar watching the news. I think it was CNN because they enacted a curfew in Ferguson, and he's trying to see if they're gonna obey the curfew. The activists, the people out in the streets, where they're gonna stay when the curfew began, or were they gonna disperse? So he gave me 5 minutes of his time and asked him some questions. And I'm gonna play this clip, and then we'll get back to the show. It's still a show, but it is so much BS. Like I said, Larry Payne happened 55 years ago in March, right? The cop never was held accountable. Leslie Dean Jones. Matter of fact, he ended up working another police job in Somerville, Tennessee. It's not that far from Memphis. And he died the next year after the 50th anniversary of Larry Payne's death. He was because the family thought he was dead for years. See, this is what they do. The family thought that Leslie Dean Jones, the white cop that killed their 16-year-old Larry Payne, they thought that man died years ago. Then the news, they published that he died, like the news, the media here. I think he died, I want to say he died in March of 2019, but they didn't publish the news that he passed until like April 2019. Like what I saw from the local news, they didn't talk about him passing until like April 20. That's how they protect their folks even in death, man. So the powers that be protected this white man that killed this teenager in cold blood in front of a whole bunch of witnesses in the projects. But yet they outed the 5 cops right away. Within 20 days, they were charged, they were let go, they were charged, So yeah, but y'all mad at the 5 cops, and y'all said, "Well, this boy look like Emmett Till," but yeah, y'all forgive Carolyn Bryant. Y'all forgive Carolyn Bryant Dunham. Y'all have no problem with her, right? Y'all have no problem with Carolyn Bryant Dunham living out her last days as a free white woman. But y'all mad, y'all hate, y'all despise these 5 black cops. I don't hate nobody. They're all my own people. But I just think it's very hypocritical of us to act like we just upset with them. Y'all upset because there wasn't 5 white cops. Y'all really been, how y'all should let 5 white cops did that to Tyre. We could have burned down Memphis, man. How we can't do that to you. Y'all should have been 5 white cops. Cause y'all don't care unless white folks care. It only matters when white folks killing black folk, right? It doesn't matter when we kill each other, right? It doesn't mean that much because nobody cares about us. We want to be loved by them. We don't care about us. We just want to be loved by them. That's the problem. Anyway, let me play Reverend Jackson because y'all funny me. Why you extra about King? Y'all know. See, y'all be tripping me out. Why you extra about the Lorraine? Look, Dr. William Pepper wrote the book, The Plot to Kill King. Right? Jesse had been sued. As far as I know, Jesse Jackson and any of the people he talked about in the book, they did not come out to sue Dr. William Pepper all this time. They should let you know something. But I'm gonna play this what Jesse had to say. This is We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century. News Free Dixie for the 21st century. Thank you all. This stream is holding up just fine. Play this.
Ask not for we all be can do for you. Ask what you can do for we all be.
Here with Reverend Jackson looking at what's going on right now, situation out in Ferguson, Missouri. It's like somebody got arrested by the police and people are restless right now. So I'm sitting in the bar with Reverend Jackson. How you doing today, sir?
Very well, very disturbed about what is happening now near Operation Point Zero. It appears that the police are having to use military equipment again and tear gas to hold the crowd back. So it suggests that someone and the police are in some kind of altercation. It diverts attention away from what we really want to hear about is the autopsy, the shots and the trajectory of the shots that went into Michael Brown's body. And the more the media can coverage an altercation, the less they cover Michael Brown. That's all about his being executed by police.
I'm looking at this right now. It reminds me of what I see documentaries of scenes from Chicago 68 during the Democratic Convention. I'm gonna ask you this: as a person who has this type of experience, do you feel like a black person get justice underneath the system conditions right now?
On the present system, because black people are on occupation, 75% African American, not one black on the school board, police chief, fire chief, mayor, every position in town is held by a minority white person. In part because we have not voted our strength, in part because the Republicans are kind of anti-civil rights disposition.
Is the police brutality a new civil rights issue?
No, it's been an old issue for a long time. Brutality was used in slavery, and it was used just after slavery to whip us in line. But now we've seen these this body of police killings, killing of whites, blacks by whites, and not much defense is coming to us. Trayvon Martin's killer walked away free. The killers of Amadou Diallo and walked away free. Those of Rodney King walked away free. That is not a deterrent to injustice.
So what should the young people do? I know that people talk about them looting and whatnot and rioting. Is it justified the young people frustrations right now in this moment?
You can't just say young people are rioting. We don't know who's rioting, really. We know what the ages are. We do not know. Young people do well to register and vote in mass because in Ferguson, you shouldn't have the power to, if 5,000 people register to vote, it changes the structure of that city. They can be jurors if they're voting to register. They can be elect police, elect the mayor who appoint police and fire chiefs. There's nothing they want to do they cannot do. If we can have a sustained, serious registration drive.
I know you talked about previous police brutality cases. There's a curfew going on, so you think they're going to break the curfew tonight?
The curfew starts at noontime. Midnight.
Yes, sir.
It's just barely 9:30.
There's some people out here, what's going on? They like getting arrested.
I don't know.
And earlier, several people have been losing.
Full-scale rioting.
Did you experience that?
Would this be equivalent to the 92 riots in LA? Is the closest thing to it?
Always some police action triggered riots. The Crime Commission report. Newark, Detroit, LA, Chicago. Always some act of brutality triggered a reaction. Let me focus on this right
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it.
On the street.
And that was the Right Reverend Jesse Jackson. Y'all call him Message Jesse. Khalid Muhammad called him Message Jesse. Like Dick Gregory said, he got one of the finest minds on the planet. He's a very smart, highly intelligent guy, right? And he has benefited, from King getting out of here, from Fred Hampton getting put out of here, because, Jesse did eulogize Fred Hampton. He got his term Rainbow Coalition from Fred Hampton. Fred Hampton came up with the phrase Rainbow Coalition to describe the street tribes, the different people he's working with, whether it be like the Young Lords, Students for a Democratic Society, whether it be Peace Stone Nation with Jeff Ford and them. He called the Rainbow Coalition. But they took Fred Hampton out here at 21, and King got killed at 39, and Jesse was 26. So, Jesse got to answer for what Jesse got to answer for. But what he's telling you is what I told you, that, all these things started because of police misconduct. It's the same old, you know what I'm saying? So that I wanted to play, but also, history is a weapon. History is a weapon. Let me see. I want to pull this up. Because, this is the thing, a lot of times we're not talking about why we keep on doing what we do, right? It's the same old. And I want to present something. Because when I, started reading about what happened to our dear brother, Tyre Nichols, it got me started thinking about other things, because he was a unique brother. He was very artistically inclined. Why would they want to get rid of a brother who, it's like, be a beautiful spirit? He was full of love and creativity, skateboarder, photographer, very artsy guy. He's like a threat, and he's like a menace to society. He was actually an asset to society. But I want to show, because this stuff bothers me, man. I don't, my mind is different, man. I just have different motives for the things I do. Like I said, I only got one good year I made money off of this. And you got folks making. I just read an article yesterday. You got folks making several $100,000, even millions of dollars off of YouTube destroying stuff. They're blowing up $200,000 sports cars and destroying. Like, what would happen if you shred chicken with this and that? And they're getting like millions of hits off of YouTube, making hundreds of thousands, and in some cases millions of dollars. Here I am trying to spread information and empowerment to people, and I'm getting all types of shadow ban, demonetization. They've been removing my videos. Like Dr. Randy Short birthday is coming up, and they recently removed a Dr. Randy Short video we did back 3 years ago. Like they keep on. I just don't understand what's the fear, man. What is the fear? But let me, man, I don't get it. But I'm gonna put this picture up. I think it's very important. You got old boy. He look like he's like 39. No disrespect. He does look 39 in that picture. He like 39. Tyre Nichols, but that's 29-year-old Tyre Nichols, and the brother on the right is 25-year-old Michael Stewart from 1983. Similar, almost 40 years apart. Similar. And I want to read something about what happened to our brother Michael Stewart, and you be the judge, right? Because history is a weapon, history is a tool, knowledge is power, information is power. But we got all these media outlets, and nobody I have yet to hear, well, y'all, the ones y'all love, they haven't even touched this thing about what happened to Michael Stewart in 1983. This is not Memphis, this is not the South, this is New York City. But never forget that the mayor of New York City wanted to secede with the Confederates. The mayor of New York City wanted to secede. What do you call it? Secession? What do you call it? Secede from the Union with the Confederacy because they were making so much money off of slavery because of the cotton. They were exporting the cotton, and they were making a killing off there for New York City. So he wanted to go with the Confederates. Never forget that. Never forget that the first thing traded on Wall Street were black people. And who built Wall Street? And I ain't gonna never forget the summer of 2016 when the Democratic convention was going on in Philadelphia. Michelle Obama did that speech. I live in a house built by slaves. I was at the federal building in Manhattan where they discovered like a slave burial ground. Black slave burial ground was discovered while they was breaking ground in the federal building. And them white folks try to cover it up, but the righteous ancestors wasn't having none of it. And people found out that they discovered remains of black people buried where the federal building is now in Manhattan. In Manhattan, they got a memorial there at the site, so we could never forget that New York City was built by slaves too, not just the South. So this happened, Michael Stewart. Let me read something. This stuff is weird, man. Cause we think about Kendrick Johnson and all this stuff, echoes of Kendrick Johnson, echoes of Michael Stewart. I don't know. I don't fit into Memphis, man. Memphis don't like me. They don't like brothers like me, man. They don't like people like me. I'm different. Don't fit in, never fit in down here. But I call it home for some weird reason. But anyway, okay, let me read what I wrote and I'm read some more about Michael Stewart. Tyre Nichols' death is eerily similar to NYC graffiti artist and model Michael Stewart, who was brutally beaten by the NYPD on the auspices of the New York City Transit Police Department in 1983, causing cardiac arrest and a coma. This death traumatized the great Jean-Michel Basquiat, who started out as a graffiti artist. History often rhymes, man. 40 years later, same old, same old. You know what's weird? This stuff did get to Jean-Michel. He did a famous painting about the beating of Michael Stewart, and it's like probably worth millions and millions of dollars. But all Michael Stewart did was he had a Sharpie, he wrote on the wall in the subway, and they got him in trouble. He just wrote a little bit something on the wall. That's how Jean-Michel Basquiat, the famous artist, started, doing graffiti around New York. Same old, same old. same old, you know what, same old, same old, same old. And what was weird at the time of Michael Stewart's death, he was dating John Michelle's former girlfriend, Suzanne Moloch from Canada. He was dating his former girlfriend. So it was a dude that started off in graffiti like him. He was a model. John Michelle did some modeling, graffiti, interesting figure. And they had the same girlfriend. No, John Michelle used to date Michael Stewart's girlfriend. No, it's a I remember reading about John Michelle. She got so mad at John Michelle one day that she actually destroyed a lot of his paintings. Like she actually, I think she threw them out the window or she set them on fire. But you know, his paintings are worth millions and millions of dollars. He had another girlfriend that was like not that long ago, several years ago. I think she's a doctor, but she used to date John Michelle back in the day before he became big time. And he created a lot of artwork and gave it to her. And she kept it in her home in Greenwich Village for years, I think. And then she finally decided to sell it. She had all these John Michelles for years in her apartment or whatever. And then one day he said, I want to share this with the world. And she got paid out a whole bunch of money, man. See, that's the thing about art. It's interesting to me. They don't want to get rid of me. They ain't gonna do me. I don't, because like we get brother right out the way. What y'all see is my artwork. This is only a small fraction of what I have done over my life in terms of art. I got sketchbooks and got garages. I got stuff full of art, man. And that's weird. Like it's just a cruel joke that people love you when you dead and you can't argue back or say anything. Oh, brother Ron, he was a great artist. Look at all this artwork he got in there. We're gonna make money off it. He got such an amazing story. Da da da. That's what they do. But John Michelle, yeah, he was traumatized by that. I'm gonna tell you what they did to Michael Stewart, because this is very important. Because why we still got the same stuff happening 40 years later if there's been progress, as y'all like to say? Y'all hope we made progress. We ain't made no damn. We're going in circles. You can't go nowhere going in circles. You're just going in circles. You're going the same old, same old. And it's weird. People think I like to be a radical. I'm on a radical because I tell things y'all don't want to acknowledge. I tell uncomfortable truths. There's a lot of truths I don't tell. I try to fit in like y'all. I want money too. I like food. I won't mind being in a relationship with somebody. I won't mind that at all. But because I get broad brush. Oh, brother Ron, he's troublemaker because he talks about stuff that we wanted not to acknowledge. I want to look at the Grammys. And I want to look at the Super Bowl. And I want to eat some chicken wings and nachos. I don't want to deal with this crap, man. You think I like this stuff? I kind of like talking about this stuff because I do it when I don't even get paid for it. I'm not getting paid really nothing to do this. But let's talk about this. Who is Michael Jerome Stewart? He's a Taurus like me. He was born May 9th, 1958. Died September 28th, 1983. Was an African American man who received recognition after his death following an arrest by New York City Transit Police for writing graffiti in a soft tip marker. So this was a death sentence, or using an aerosol can on a New York City subway wall at the First Avenue station. His treatment while in police custody and the ensuing trials of the arresting officers, all of whom were acquitted. Okay, they got off more ways than one. Sparked debate concerning police brutality and the responsibilities of arresting officials and handling suspects. This was a widely publicized episode in New York City's history of police brutality cases. Word of the arrest came out on September 15th, 1983, as the Committee Against Racially Motivated Police Violence was holding a news conference to publicize a United States Congress hearing into complaints of police abuse. Stewart had been arrested earlier that day. He died at age 25 on September 28th after 13 days in a coma. The cause of death was listed as cardiac arrest. Almost similar to old boy. He spent 3 days in a coma, but this brother spent 13 days in a coma. They both said that they claimed that they both had cardiac arrest. These young guys, 125, 129. Both artists. Okay. Don't read. It's worth reading this stuff. This stuff is so weird. And by the way, Spike Lee was there, and it says that Spike Lee dedicated the film "Do the Right Thing" to Michael Stewart, among other victims. See, he dropped my Spike Lee getting on this deaf black trauma porn. He been doing this for a minute now. I'm not laughing, but Spike Lee was there. Oh, hey, man, it's like a black man. Only thing a black man could do for us is die. Black man ain't respected unless he's dead. Ain't no like a dead black man that gets respect of everybody, right? Don't want to have a live black man being a man. We want a dead black man so we can feed off his carcass. Jesus Christ. Well, anyway, let me read this. Arrest and death, right? On September 15th, 1983, aspiring artist and model Michael Stewart left the Pyramid Club in Manhattan's Lower East Side. He was arrested at 2:50 a.m. for spraying graffiti at the First Avenue station on the L train's Brooklyn-bound platform. Transit police officer John Kostick found Stewart scrawling RQS on the wall and had him arrested. Stewart allegedly said, "Hey man, you got me." Kostick cuffed Stewart and walked him to the turnstile to be identified. As Stewart was as Stewart was still living with his parents, he asked the police not to call his home to wake them up. Officer Kostick claimed Stewart was initially cordial, but suddenly ran off. He suddenly ran off. Sound familiar? Tyre Nichols? You had him, and then he suddenly ran off? Okay, and had to be restrained while waiting for the arrest transport van. At the top of the stairs, Stewart fell face forward on the ground, said Kostick. The officer held Stewart to the ground until the van arrived, where several officers put him inside. Stewart was taken to the District 4 Transit Police Station at the 14th Street Union Square, 2 stops away. While being taken to the station, Kostick said Stewart became very violent in the van. Stewart struggled with the officers and ran to the street. He was beaten unconscious. He was hogtied, bound at the ankles, and tethered hands to feet by an elastic strap. They had that boy like, he was a prize, right? They treat hogs better than they treated this boy. This boy wasn't that big. He kind of like Michael Stewart. I mean, he's kind of like Tyre Nichols, like he's skinny. He wasn't a big guy. During the struggle, Stewart's wails could be heard by 27 Parsons School of Design students from their dorm windows. A Parsons student, Rebecca Reese, heard Stewart say, "Oh my God, someone help me." And what did I do? What did I do? Who said, what did I do? Tyre Nichols said, what did I do, right? You never know what you do when they do this to you. Rob Zombie, also a Parsons student at the time, recounted the incident in 2019 during an appearance on the September 16th episode of the Joe Rogan Experience. He stated that he and other witnesses that night were subpoenaed to testify before a grand jury prior to the trial. Stewart was booked at the Union Square District 4 Transit Police Headquarters for resisting arrest and unlawful possession of marijuana. The transit police supervisors deemed Stewart emotionally disturbed. Stewart was placed back into the van and transported to Bellevue Hospital to undergo psychiatric observation. Stewart arrived at Bellevue at 3:22 a.m. He was handcuffed, his legs were bound, and he was comatose with a blood alcohol content of 0.22, more than double the 0.10 threshold needed to arrest someone for drunk driving. Stewart was dating Suzanne Mullock at the time, and she went with his family to see him at the hospital. This John Michelle's old girlfriend. So she had a type. She loved them graffiti artists, creative black guys, bohemian type dudes, right? According to Mullock's account, Stewart had bruises and cuts on his body. She said the doctors confirmed he was brain dead and had hemorrhage in a way that suggested he had either been choked or strangled. Stewart died on September 28, 1983, 13 days after his arrest. Interesting. Now, this is where it get really weird at. This is what they do. This is how sick these people are. Y'all talking about y'all want justice from the devil. The devil's only qualified to give you more hell. The devil ain't qualified to give you justice. The devil is only qualified to give you more hell. This is how sick these people are. This is 1983. We in 2023. What has changed besides the calendar year? What has really changed, folks? So, post-mortem examination. In charge of determining Stewart's cause of death was the city's medical examiner, Dr. Elliot M. Gross. What a perfect name for his job, Gross. They probably call him Gross. I'm gonna call him Gross because Gross. I'm gonna say Gross because he was gross, allegedly. Had three separate findings. Dr. Gross did. He first declared Stewart had died due to excessive drinking, alcohol poisoning. Did they say that an old girl down in Mexico died of alcohol poisoning? Shanquilla Robinson, whatever her name was. They try to say, the officials try to say she died of alcohol poisoning. See what they do to black people? What has changed, man? Y'all up here talking about we shall overcome. We never gonna overcome. We keep on thinking like this. Nothing changed. The same old game, same old, same old. Okay. God. So they say he died to excessive drinking, alcohol poisoning, which led to the coma and subsequent heart attack. They said Tyre Nichols died from a heart attack. That's what they were saying at one point. Thus, the police were not at fault. Stewart's family and advocates were unconvinced and believed this was a classic cover-up. Sounds like a cover-up to me. Law enforcement good at covering up they bull. In a second autopsy conducted a month later, Gross declared that Stewart had died from a spinal cord injury in the upper neck. Did the old boy have a spinal cord injury, Tyre Nichols? Interesting. In his third assessment, he did this 3 times, Keystone Cops. In his third assessment, he said that Stewart died from blunt force trauma. Yeah, makes sense. According to the New York Times, Gross declined to specify what caused the injury, explaining only that there are a number of possibilities as to how an injury of this type can occur. He refused to talk to press unless testifying before the grand jury. Gross said Stewart's injuries, including the facial bruising and the abrasions on his wrists sustained during his arrest, were not said to contribute to his death. Nurses said his hands and face were blue when he arrived at the hospital. A lot of people thought that Tyre Nichols was dead on arrival. They thought he was dead at the scene. That's interesting. And said it took 3 minutes to remove the cuffs. Wow. They also said that he had been beaten brutally. Stewart's family doctors contradict what was in the final autopsy report done by Gross. Doctors hired by Stewart's family to perform a secondary autopsy found his cause of death to be strangulation. Now, I want y'all to listen to what I'm about to say right now. This is how sick these people are. When you think about this, think about Kendrick Johnson and some other people. But think about what they did to this boy post-mortem. He was dead. This is what they did. Dr. Gross said there was no evidence of strangulation. Critical information such as Stewart's eyes were removed and held by Gross and were not allowed to be studied by the doctors hired by the Stewart's family. How can this man steal this dude's eyes? They don't belong to him. Why? Let me read it. Critical information such as Stewart's eyes were removed and held by Gross and were not allowed to be studied by the doctors hired by Stewart's family. His eyes were crucial because they would have shown evidence of hemorrhaging due to lack of oxygen from being strangled. So he was murdered by the police, allegedly. And they cover it up. Wow. This is 1983. This ain't 1883. This ain't 1780. This is 1983. And we're in 2023. Gross incompetence. Who is that really incompetence, or he just doing his part in the cover-up? Led to the Stewart family to call for a petition to remove him as chief medical examiner, claiming alleged wrongdoing, and the medical examiner's office cannot be trusted with the safekeeping of items. Well, did his eyes belong with the rest of his body? Shouldn't the family got possession of the eyes too, along with the rest of Michael Stewart's body? Following the trial, all 6 policemen were acquitted of criminal charges Dr. Gross was later fired, and Stewart's parents were compensated $1.7 million for their child's death. Stewart's death would have been remembered as an egregious and an egregious tragedy of police abuse. Will be remembered. We're talking about what happened to Michael Stewart 40 years later almost. It'll be 40 years later on this year officially, because we still dealing with black folks getting treated and killed by the protect and serve folks. Who are they protecting and who are they serving? Because the what happened to Michael Stewart, they was not protecting and serving him. Not even in death were they protecting and serving him. So I think that's enough of that. I just, man, this is Jesus. You can look at Michael Stewart, very photogenic brother. Somebody say he like P&B Rock. Ain't no telling what type of future he would have had. You know what I'm saying? He lived like I said, Susan, his girlfriend at the time, she used to date John Michelle. And they were kind of similar because John Michelle was really traumatized by what happened to Michael Stewart. Because he said that could have been me. That could have easily been me because he was known for scribbling on the walls of the subways and on the walls around New York City. You know, think about, Jay-Z want to be John Michelle. Look how he got his hair. Like, look more like Sideshow Bob from The Simpsons than he does like John Michelle. But that's all good because Jay-Z, he the man. Him and his wife Beyonce, they the man and the women. They do their thing. No disrespect to the king. So, but God bless the memory of Michael Stewart. See, this stuff bothers me, but it doesn't bother me enough for me not to share with you all. I want y'all to be bothered by it too. Because what they say, misery loves company. I want y'all to be bothered by what happened to Michael Stewart. And y'all talking about Tyre Nichols. And it's another Tyre Nichols and Michael Stewart coming up. Y'all know it. And, it's not just black people being done like this, white people as well. And I think I'm going to say that for another show. Because y'all want content, but I want y'all to support the content too. Because, like, it's hard out here for artists. You know what I'm saying? So, God bless the memory of Michael Stewart and Tyre Nichols. And don't let their deaths be in vain. Because it is sad. I be thinking about who want their child to end up like Tyre Nichols or Michael Stewart. If you have like a young black son, you want your son to end up like Tyre Nichols and Michael Stewart. And these guys they wasn't bad dudes. They were creative guys. They were unique individuals. And they both lived at home with their parents. And there's something, so they got a certain type they like to attack. Why they always mess with folks that really ain't a problem? Why do these folks always want to bully and intimidate and get rid of people like Tyre Nichols and Michael Stewart, guys who knew how to express themselves well? People really liked them, enjoyed their company. Look at pictures of Michael Stewart. Michael Stewart, a handsome guy, photogenic, and dead at 25 for no good reason. Tyre Nichols, photographer, had a great eye for photography, skateboard enthusiast, loved his mom, tattooed his mom's name on him. It's like a decent guy, and he's out of here. Why? Why do the good die young? That's what I want to know. You got these, and then Henry Kissinger is still around. He almost 100. I can't believe Henry Kissinger is still around. This is off the subject, but Henry Kissinger, he's still around, and he almost obese and 100 years old and still functional. How is that possible? How is that possible that Henry Kissinger is still around? So what else I want to share? Because I plan on sharing more on this show, but I guess I did enough, right? Yeah, I agree, Cinnamon Sunshine. They hate. It's a dark place, man. We're in a dark place. Yeah, they think they are weak. Yeah, but they'll be some of the strongest people. The people that are willing to be vulnerable. You can't be a great artist unless you uh, embrace vulnerability. It's hard to be great artist if you're not willing to open yourself up to being vulnerable, because vulnerability is a strength. You know, I'm a sensitive guy. I'm a sensitive soul, but life will try you. Like I can identify with people. I'm used to having individuals and institutions bully me for most of my life, and I fight back by still existing. I fight back by still creating I fight back by still amplifying my voice. There's different ways to fight back because you always dealing with bullies. These cops were bullies, right? They try to pick on the so-called weakest link, but these folks had a spirit and light about them. Once you bust the vessel, you can't stop the light from shining ever. The light is internal. You can't kill energy. So their light is going to continue to shine. Like when Emmett, you killed that boy, but he will never be forgotten. And like Baba Dick Gregory would say, he said, Ron, sometimes people will remember you more by how you died than rather how you lived. No, the way George Floyd died will always be bigger, will always trump the way he lived. Think about what I'm saying. The way you die is sometimes how people remember you versus how you live. Joe Biden had the nerve to say that George Floyd death did more for the world than Dr. King. He said something like that. And like, what? And then you start thinking about it. Think about how it's people I could talk about that, like people talk about Breonna Taylor. I wish folks would talk about Alberta Odell Jones, how people talk about Breonna Taylor. No disrespect to Breonna. She will be 30 this year. She shared the same birthday as Tyre Nichols. They both were born June 5th, 93. But what about Alberta Odell Jones, who actually like dedicated her life to fighting the good fight for her people? How come we don't remember people like them? There's a way we romanticize George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery. I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying, the same folks that will talk about these people, they have no idea about the sacrifices and the commitment of Omega Evers, of Omega Wiley Evers, a family man who was killed in front of his family at 37, coming home. Like, we don't even know. The world is weird and dark. You understand? Like, I get it now. Cause I figure out, well, if I was an alpha and a Prince Hall Mason, instead of me doing this on YouTube, I would have like, I'll be sitting next to Dunn Lemon or somebody on mainstream TV. I'll have like a gig and I'll be making money. I'll be at the Grammys. But because I didn't make those deals, I might have made them deals in the previous. I bet it's an alternative universe where I am an alpha and a Freemason somewhere. And I have all the women, I have all the money. But this time when I came back to this planet, I chose to be this guy. I don't know why. But this is what we should be doing. But yet, I post one thing about a hearsay, a so-called rumor. This will bring folks out like flies attracted to sugar, honey, iced tea. Our people are not as evolved and enlightened or high vibrational as we like to think we are. We're not. We some low vibrational swamp creatures. That's what we are. And it's like, it's good to see that I got 110 people here. But it's funny. If I was talking about something else, I probably have 2,000 people in here. And I know people they ain't always getting notifications and people tell me that da da da. I already know they targeting me. And I know why. So, and that's okay. I'm still doing what I'm gonna do. But I want to play something about Baba Dick Gregory. And it's amazing. The dude, I had no idea what I was doing. Baba Dick Gregory was trial and error. But I'm glad I was able to ask him certain questions that I wanted to. Because a lot of people, they wasn't asking him, they wasn't challenging Baba Dick Gregory or anything. They wasn't asking certain questions for posterity. He told me things off the record that was very interesting. And but I'm glad I was able to get some stuff from Baba Dick Gregory. And I want to share this with him. I did from the archives. People ask me, do I have stuff for him that I haven't never published? I might got some stuff, but why should I publish it if they demonetizing me and I'm not making money off of it? I'm just thinking how other people think about stuff. So I'm just gonna leave that for a while. We'll figure out something else. But you got some more Dick Gregory? Why? A lot of y'all just take my stuff and y'all give me credit for it. So I don't know. It ain't really about that, but it's about that. Let's see. I want that. Always so Jesus Christ.
Ask what you can do
Put it down.
You know why?
I'm trying to set up, folks. Give me some time. I'm sorry about that. Trying to set stuff up. But the spring been holding up pretty well. But I'm gonna get out of here. I think I'm gonna save like what I want to talk about for another show too. I had some other things I want to talk about. But let's see what Bobby Dick Greg got to say from Beyond the Grave. This is We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century. And after that, we'll wrap it up. But I thank y'all for encouraging me to come back on the air to share what I share. And the time really will go far. Let me see. Best way. Okay.
This is Judge Joe Brown, and we're listening to We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century.
So let me tell you white folks and black folks something. If these white cops was killing white folks' dogs like they're killing my children, white women would have burnt police stations down all over America. Huh? So don't tell me what you think about me. Huh? I look at your reaction and know what you think about me. Again, I'm going to say this to you. All you looked at is a trick. NBC, CBS, ABC, those aren't the reporters that own it. It's the hoodlums and thugs, the white supremacy that controls the whole world. That day is over. So let me say two things to you. The Wall Street Journal, not Jet Magazine, your paper, the Wall Street Journal, November the 7th, 1968, ran that story. No other paper or news media ran that story. Okay? Then you see where you're going. And then finally, let me just tell you this here about police brutality and the reason you can't solve it. I was born October the 12th, 1932. And two things made me famous. Two things made me famous. My birthday, October 30th. School was closed for Columbus Day. I thought it was closed for me. That's where I messed up my mind. So I always grew up knowing I was somebody. I didn't know God made me somebody. Every year, man, you know, to feel like a little black boy. The only reason I wasn't on welfare because welfare wasn't invented. I thought it was me. The other thing, October the 12th, 1932. The universal law, I told you, this is how white folks mess up. White folks, I didn't call them white folks, white folks. So as a child growing up, I saw light-complected black folks whiter than white folks. Huh? So if you call yourself white folks, I grew up with white folks whiter than you. White boy, white girl, huh? That cop you sent in my neighborhood never saw a black person as a child. Lived in a white neighborhood, went to a white school. So he grown man. Most of them ain't been to college. Do you know how ignorant you got to be a white cop with all the opportunities in a white racist system for a white male? And you end up being a cop? Huh? A cop? Something wrong with that. Huh? A white woman being a waitress? Queen Elizabeth the Queen? And you reduce yours down to be a waitress? And you don't see something wrong with it? So let's follow the white boy. When I was a kid, I didn't know nothing about white folks and black folks, except I knew I had kin folks whiter than white folks. When I was a little child, all I wanted me was a fire truck. When the fire truck, I'd go out and wave. I never did that to a police car, and never wanted a police car. I didn't know about racism. That's universal law. I hear siren, I prayed for him. Now my prayer is different. I pray for the cop and the firefighter, but now I pray to wherever the cop is going, that whoever they're going to meet, both of them will be safe. That's a hell of a way to mess up a prayer. Hell of a way. Now, watch this here. So now the white boy ends up being on the police department. Not a good white job that he qualifies for, with a gun. So when he comes in contact with me, I come in contact with white folks, and I didn't know the difference between a light complected black and white. We didn't have TV. So his cracker, when he's encountered with me, he got a gun and he's ignorant. Now you got some cops want to be cops, right? Because their father was cops, their daddy was cops, their granddaddy. I'm talking about, now how you gonna change that in a white racist system that is inside of him? Well, here's the way you change it. Listen up, white cop. I'm gonna show you what God intelligence is about. If you change it this way, everybody that carries a gun in America legally have to have a license. Hey, I ought to have a license to drive a car. I ought to have a license to sell bread. Every cop, FBI, CIA, every cop, or any person from the guy about drive the bank truck with a gun, or the guard, have to be licensed. That ain't asking too much. Well, wait a minute. How you gonna get that through? I tell you how you get it through. You call for a boycott of Christmas. How you gonna get it through? Well, here's how you get it through. 78% of all retail in America sells between Thanksgiving and Christmas. There's decent white folk that still don't know they're racist. You got black folk and white folk go to a doctor and say to their doctor, if you find cancer, don't tell me. This is what white folks say. They're in a state of denial. Then don't know it.
So as Baba from Beyond the Grave, I would love to have seen what he would have said about the 5 cops, the black cops down in Memphis, or where I'm at right now. Now down, I'm in Memphis, not down and out, but down in Memphis. Well, his take would be on these black cops doing what they did to brother Tyre Nichols. But I said it's quite possible they could still get off a certain way or some technicality or something like that. I know one reason why the family was trying to dismiss the rumors about Tyre being, being a victim of a premeditated hit was because, they could upgrade the charges of first-degree murder. That will be kind of maybe even more difficult to really get at, versus what the charges are now. So I'm not no expert or anything like that. And a lot of us, we're just spectators trying to figure stuff out. And it's really above a lot of our pay grades, to be honest with you. But it just really boggles my mind that black people really think that we're making progress with all this when we still dealing with the same stuff that Malcolm talked about with police brutality. Somebody mentioned organ harvesting. What's interesting? There is footage of Chairman Fred Hampton Sr. Being interviewed, And you gotta think about this dude only lived to be 21 years old, but he was wise beyond his years. And like I tell people all the time, his mom used to babysit Emmett Till. Emmett Till got killed at 14. The government really started watching Fred Hampton Sr. when he was about 14 years old because they recognized he was gifted at communication and organizing people. So he was already on the government's target list. It's like with Dr. King, his family was being watched by the government for three generations. They started watching the King family before Dr. King was born, started watching his maternal grandfather, who led Ebenezer church, the church that his father would eventually lead. There's an article that came out in the 90s that talked about how the King family was under surveillance by the government for three generations. But Fred Hampton talked about how they was organ harvesting back in 1960s. He knew what they were doing at the hospital even back then, allegedly. So it's sad because the Grammys was last night Sunday, right? And you look at the rappers, hip hop is a very lucrative music industry. One of America's greatest exports is hip hop culture, music, and stuff like that. Fred Hampton would have been probably a platinum selling rapper today instead of being a revolutionary. See, that's what they did. They turned out revolutionaries into rappers. And it what made Tupac interesting, enigma, and problematic, and they got him out the way. And they co-opted his message, whatever, and they got you thinking a certain way about Pop. But it was interesting, like you could still probably hear that phone conversation he did with the game beggar turn, I guess, revolutionary, whatever you want to think, Monster Cody, right? Tupac and Monster Cody, they were tight. I think his wife, I think Monster Cody's wife recorded Tupac talking to Monster Cody. It's back in the 90s. Tupac wanted to be, he's still trying to organize black folks. He wanted to organize the black gangs. He grew up learning about Fred Hampton. His mama taught him about Fred Hampton and what he was doing in Chicago. So Tupac was probably like the Fred Hampton 2.0 to a certain degree. He was trying to politicize the gangs like Fred Hampton was trying to politicize the gangs. Probably got sidetracked and got whacked. And who's to say there wasn't a federal government sanctioned hit on Tupac? Because if it's funny how they focus on certain things. Like Tupac was at a political rally for Death Row, and Tupac was talking that stuff. You probably could find it's so much stuff. It's funny how they suppress information that used to be readily available, or how they change the narrative on you because you're not paying attention. But Tupac was at a political rally in L.A. There was like Death Row and what the brother like he white that's from Louisiana that I think he ran the newspaper, the Los Angeles Sentinel. I forgot his name. I don't know if he still owned the Los Angeles Sentinel. He's still running, but I think he owns some radio stations. No, that guy that he's black, but he look white. You got some like Dick Gregory talking about. You got some light complected folks that you think they're white, but they're actually black. He was one of them dudes. I think he was from Louisiana, but they had a political rally. This is like days before Tupac was killed in Vegas or shot up in Vegas and died. And I think Danny Boy performed Sam Cooke's Chains Gonna Come because they said Tupac loved to hear him perform that. But Tupac spoke at a political rally. He was trying to politicize people, but basically was saying, if I could sell 5 million records, that's 5 million voters I can influence. And music is power. You look at the rappers like, Juice WRLD and XX Tentacion and some other ones, what I'm saying? Very talented. Very talented. But they're stuck on one note. It seems like, a lot of them victims of drugs and all types of weird stuff. Tupac really was diverse in the subject matter he covered. He had all types of interesting things and anthems. To me, Tupac was in the same league as a Curtis Mayfield and Marvin Gaye and Sam Cooke. For me, I can't speak for nobody else because diversity of topics is the way he sampled certain music and stuff like that, and the lyricism of what he was doing, the poetry, the words, they still ring true and relevant today. It's like Shock G said that Tupac rapping was like kind of like a Dr. King or Malcolm X preaching. That's what he was doing with his rapping. He was really in that tradition. So I could see that. So they had to get him off the scene, man. It's like he trying to politicize these gangbangers like Fred Hampton trying to politicize Jeff Ford. And Jeff Ford at the time was functionally illiterate. But yeah, he was such a political force that he helped swing Chicago for Nixon in '68. And they said, well, I don't know if it was an urban legend, but it's like it was true that he got an invite to celebrate the Nixon win at the White House. Like he was, they invited him for the inauguration ceremony or whatever. Jeff Fort, a person who was from Mississippi, was functionally illiterate, but yeah, he had the organization to really affect politics, politics not only at the local level but also at the national level. So imagine if he was under the direction and tutelage of a Fred Hampton. They had to get rid of Fred Hampton. He was a problematic. And then what did they give us? They give us Jesse Jackson, and then they give us Barack Obama. So you went from Fred Hampton to Jesse Jackson to Barack Obama. This is what they do. This is what they do. Like you look at it, we got Jay-Z, but you had Biggie, and you had a Big L. Big L got killed in February of '99. Big L was a threat to a Jay-Z. Even Nas was afraid of a Big L. He said Big L is a monster. Like not a monster, but he had a lot of respect for Big L. Imagine if because Jay-Z said that Big L was going to be signed to Rockefeller. Imagine if Big L had lived, let alone Biggie. Would Jay-Z be Jigga? Would he be married to Beyonce right now? I don't know. And I like Jay-Z my number two. Because he's a phenomenal. I don't care what nobody. I mean, people could say, well, Jay-Z never dominated a period and all this stuff. I think Jay-Z one of the best, man. If you trying to, it's like when they say like, dude got on Shaq podcast and talking about his top five is kind of like, you compare Eminem with Jay-Z. Eminem may have more record sales, but Jay-Z had more impact or has more impact than Eminem on hip hop culture. Yes, he did. Because even people said that Eminem outshined Jay-Z on Renegade. Eminem had fire. But you got to really listen to what Jay-Z was saying on Renegade to have an appreciation of what he was doing on that song. Because Jay-Z, I mean, he hold his own with everybody. Jay-Z, he's a rapper. I mean, Jay-Z got it, man. I can't. He in my top five. I don't care what nobody say. People, I hate when people try to say, well, you forgot. So, no, I didn't forget so and so. He's my number two. I got Biggie at five. Got Scarface at four. Got Ice Cube at three. Got Jay-Z at two. I got Tupac at one. Because I'm not from this generation. Now, if you talk to some cat in their 20s, they got a totally different top five than mine. That's what I grew up on. That's what I grew up on. So I mean, like a lot of people top fives and tens and all that is based on the period where they come from. You could tell a lot about a person about the music they grew up on, their childhood music. Like the era you come out of, the music you was listening to when you was growing up, coming of age, that says a lot about you as a person today. That's how I look at it. Because you gotta think about, well, the kids coming up today, so when they turn about almost 40 something or 50, I guess they'll help Glorilla and some other people, some mumble rappers and all that, and they'll be in their top five. So it is what it is. But and also what people don't talk about, I know Dick Gregory talked about this, is that there's a high divorce rate among law enforcement officials, law officers, and I think Dick made a reference like what's going on is that they're affected by the bullets they carry. Like my understanding, there's lead in bullets. Think about how lead affects water. The water that we drink, when you expose to lead, what does lead do to the human body? So if you walk around with a whole bunch of bullets for like 20 years, 25 years, and got all these bullets on you, that could mess around with your behavior. Lead. Let me see if I got it right, Kai. But Dick used to talk about lead being in bullets affecting the behavior of the police officers. Let me see. It's a, it's like look up lead bullets or lead and bullets. It's like such a mixed message there. So I'm looking it up now. Is lead and bullets dangerous? Lead bullets are so dangerous for anything that ingests them because they fragment into hundreds of tiny pieces when they strike an animal that was shot. The fragments can spread beyond the wound channel, the main path of the bullet through the animal. Do bullets still have lead in them? So, indeed, despite substantial scientific evidence linking the use, I love it. Wait a minute. Okay, despite the substantial scientific evidence linking the use of lead ammunition to a host of environmental and public health threats, roughly 90% of the 10 billion rounds purchased every year in the United States still contain lead. This is from January 30th of 2017. Can you get lead poisoning from touching ammo? Yes, you can get lead poisoning from ammunition, but you kind of have to work at it. If you load your own ammo in an enclosed room, especially if you smoke or eat while you load, if you spend a lot of time at a range and smoke or eat without washing your hands, think about cops, right? They wearing the ammunition, right? They'll go eat at a place, be on call, they eating donuts, they eating stuff, they touching stuff. You think everybody's washing their hands every time they eat and touch things? No. You also touching bullets, so you touching lead. So why nobody never talk about, well, baby, the lead is playing a part in their behavior and their moods that's affecting these cops' health. And Dick Gregory used to bring this up all the time. See, that's interesting. Nobody ever talks about the lead factor in bullets affecting these people's judgment and behavior. Because think about, they talking about how it be lead poison in the water. What does it do to the human body or the nervous system or whatever when there's lead in the water? So think about lead and bullets. And these cops are always constantly touching their guns and touching bullets. They loading it. They at the range and all that, or they shooting people, whatever. Uh, okay, what happens if a lead bullet is not removed? I guess if you get shot by a lead bullet, the metal can make its way into the bloodstream and impair the functioning of nerves. Retained bullet fragments are an infrequently reported but important cause of lead toxicity. The CDC team reports, noting that symptoms can appear years after suffering a gunshot wound. We just had a cop get shot in the head. I don't know if he's surviving. He's very critical condition. But the day after the Tyre Nichols political rally at Mississippi Boulevard Church, had a cop get shot in the head by a suspect at the library, one of the public libraries on Popular, the White Station Public Library. And I remember I was on the street on Popular, or about to turn on Popular. I saw several patrol cars riding real fast towards that location. I was downtown Memphis. But he got shot in the head. And they killed the suspect that shot him. I think it was a guy from Indiana. Y'all can look this up. It's a lot of crazy stuff going on in Memphis right now and around the country. But what about the lead situation with the bullets? How that affects behavior and all this other stuff with the cops? The cops have high divorce rates. A lot of times they end up marrying the hookers or the strippers or whatever as the second wife. You hear about those stories, look at those movies. And also you gotta think about, uh are there too many cop shows on TV that glorify bad behavior by cops? Think about what I'm saying. Are there too many cop shows, too many cop movies that glorify bad behavior by cops? You think about Dirty Harry. Dirty Harry was a cop, but he was doing a lot of killing that was unnecessary, right? I mean, he was going above and beyond what the call of the badge was, right? But yet we glorified Dirty Harry. We like the Lethal Weapon movies where they, did a lot of things that really ain't supposed to be done if you're a police officer. You think about Die Hard movies. You think about the cop shows. It's a glorification of police in the wrong way of cops acting dirty, but it's always for a good cause. They break the law and they bend the rules for a good cause. So I mean, you got to think about, they always talking about the music, but what about these TV shows and movies that glorify cops behaving badly? Should they limit the amount of cop shows that be on TV and movies done about bad cops? it's something that I was thinking about because they always talk about the music, and music does affect mood and stuff like that in people. And if you lie to yourself, you think music doesn't have an effect on you. It does. That's why they do all they can to control the music to make it low vibrational. Because you think about the rap music that I love, it normally sample soul music. They had a high vibrancy to it. You had people, it was baby making music for a reason. Now you got baby mama hating music. You hate your baby mama, you hate your baby daddy, you don't love nobody, you don't make up to break up, all that crap. But anyway, I think that's enough for now. Just want some food for thought. Yeah, somebody. What about him? That's my top five. Now LL Cool J is in my top 10. But that's my top five, right? I hate when people like well, you forgot so and so. I didn't forget so and so. This is my top five. It's like everybody don't believe that Michael Jackson is the greatest singer or Stevie Wonder is the greatest singer, and that's okay. They great, But like I said, these systems like that's based on me and my taste, you know. Uh, so to each their own. But I just think these lists and people get bent out of shape about stuff, about quotes and stuff. People say, well, I remember like an elder who's passed on. He was very upset on a billboard near the Graceland Hotel. Not the Graceland, but it's another hotel there by Graceland for years, where Elvis Presley lived and died. Graceland. They had on their billboard or sign of the hotel that John Lennon allegedly said before Elvis there was nothing. Right? He said before Elvis there was nothing. And this old black man, he was so stressed out about that. I said, why you care about that? You know that's not true. Yeah, but they got the shine. Da, da, da. And Elvis didn't say that because Elvis knew that wasn't true. Because one thing I love about studying Elvis is that you cannot deny the impact that black artists made on Elvis. Like you cannot appreciate Elvis unless you can appreciate the roots of his artistry, which come from black people. Now, I really do believe Elvis was black. I believe his mama. Look at his mom, how she looked. She's like one of them black folks I know that could pass for white because he ain't right. He used to be around black people. He went to the black church to hear the gospel music. It was the black gospel singers, Dr. William Brewster, and they taught him how to sing them gospel. He won his Grammys for gospel inspirational music. He loved them black women singers, the Sweet Inspirations. Whitney Houston, mom was a part of Sweet Inspirations. No, Whitney Houston met Elvis when she was a little kid because of her mom, and she was mesmerized by Elvis. To me, you don't have to downplay the greatness of Elvis to appreciate Jackie Wilson or BB King or Little Richard or Chuck Berry. They're all great, you know. But my thing is, like with anything, uh, try to keep an open mind about stuff. But also, I'm learning as I get older, it's not even important to get mad or pay attention to everything that people do or say. Because a lot of people don't know what they're talking about. Because, like, even now, I'm talking, it's my opinion. But, like, okay, I'm going to close it out on this. Because I'm talking about the top 7 greatest hits by the MPD, Memphis Police Department. And I can't, it's funny because, like, on several social media platforms, people tell me, oh, you forgot about MLK. You forgot about MLK, the Memphis Police? I said, no, I didn't forget about MLK because that was the government. Y'all like the Memphis Police Department is, no, they controlled by, look, to say that the Memphis Police Department killed MLK is like saying that the NYPD or dare I say the Nation of Islam killed Malcolm. It's a little bit deeper and steeper and more complex than that. To say that is really disingenuous in a way because you dismissing who, because like the Nation of Islam didn't have the power to deny Malcolm entry into France. The French government said we ain't gonna let you in, man, because they was told by some entity that Malcolm was gonna get hit. They didn't want Malcolm getting killed in Paris or in France. They sent him back packing back to America. I think he went to England and he went to America. But I'm saying the Nation of Islam couldn't do that. The Nation of Islam did not have the power to pull back the NYPD from the rally at the Audubon. Normally, when Malcolm would do his speeches, he had a heavy police presence. Who had to pull that back from Malcolm the day he got killed in front of his family? I don't think it was the Nation of Islam, you know. And you look at the NYPD, it's certain elements within the NYPD that were involved, like Malcolm's chief bodyguard, Eugene Roberts, was a covert agent. He was a part of the Bossy program. They ran out of NYPD, but that was a part of a government COINTELPRO infrastructure. If you look at, if you want to say the Memphis Police Department killed Dr. King, now, like I said, normally when Dr. King would come into Memphis, he had an all-black Memphis police security detail protecting him. But the last couple of times, he did not have that because management was changed. There was a cop, a white cop, that was concerned about the safety of King, and he made sure that his black police officers organized themselves to protect King. But they removed that guy, and guess who came in place? They controlled the Memphis police and fire department because Judge Joe Brown believes that the sniper was stationed at the fire station because there were black firemen, one or two, stationed at that fire station, but they were told to go home or go to another fire station. Then you had Officer Ed Reddick, who was a black police officer for MPD. He was at the fire station keeping King under surveillance, and they forced him out. They forced him out of the fire. I interviewed Officer Ed Reed. Let's say Reed. Officer Ed Reddick. Excuse me, Officer Ed Reddick. He passed on now. He's been dead for a while. But I actually interviewed him for about an hour about his experiences on the Memphis Police Department and about the King assassination. But he testified before Congress about the King assassination, I believe back in the 70s. I think it was in 78. We had the King JFK Assassination Committee review. But they got, so Judge Joe Brown believed that the shot came from the fire station. And you can make a good case for that because you had military in town, Operation Lantern Spike. The FBI code name for Dr. King was Zorro. Mark Lane and Dick Gregory wrote a book, code name Zorro by Dr. King because he was known as Zorro by the FBI. The gun that killed Dr. King came from the FBI. So how you gonna say that the Memphis Police Department was the mastermind behind the killing? That's not true. But the person who did control the Memphis Police and Fire Department at the time was Frank Holloman, who was one of Jacob Hoover's top goons for 20 plus years. He was one of Jacob Hoover's top goons for 20 plus years, but he became the top guy over the Memphis Fire and the Police Department right before Dr. King got killed in Memphis. So it still leads back to the FBI and to the federal government. So, and like I said, my thing is just to provoke thought, and I get in trouble for that. People don't like me. They don't invite me to things. They think I'm a troublemaker and all that stuff. I guess I am. I'm trying to make good trouble. But yeah. So I think I did enough for tonight. Time go by pretty fast. I really enjoyed this. I'm looking at the chats. I heard about Otis Blackwell. People need to look up Otis Blackwell. There's actually a nice clip of him performing on David Letterman's late night show back in the day in the 80s. Elvis is unique, man. I know people say he's imitated. Elvis had a unique voice. He had a unique presence. He had a very unique look. He was an original in his own right. So I think Elvis, what if Jackie Wilson was white? He would have been bigger than Elvis to me. Jackie Wilson was phenomenal. But even he said that the black artists wanted to copy Elvis. They copied Elvis. Elvis didn't copy them. Elvis, like B.B. King said, he had his own unique way of doing his thing. He borrowed from the greats, from the black music masters, and he made his own style. But just like I said, everybody influenced each other. Like you look at Robert Johnson, his favorite singer was Bing Crosby, according to his peers. I think Bobby Blue Bland's favorite singer was Perry Como, and B.B. King's favorite singer was Frank Sinatra. And Frank Sinatra's favorite singer was Billie Holiday, and Bing Crosby religiously studied Louis Armstrong and his approach to music and all this. So I mean, everybody inspired each other, man. Everybody feeds off each other. It's all mutual respect to a certain degree, Elvis loved Fast Domino. You know, uh, Chuck Berry was phenomenal. I don't think Chuck Berry performed anybody else's music but his own. I think he wrote all his own songs and performed his own songs. He didn't perform. Chuck Berry, if he was a white man, would have been bigger than Elvis. Chuck Berry was phenomenal. Elvis didn't write his music. Like you said, Otis Blackwell wrote a lot of music that Elvis popularized, but Otis Blackwell, a black man from Nashville, wrote it. But Elvis didn't write music. He just performed and interpret music. And he was going to do, Dolly Parton wanted him to do his song that Whitney Houston made famous, I Will Always Love You. That was written by Dolly Parton, but she had Elvis in mind to sing that. He wanted to sing that song to Priscilla Presley. Uh, and Whitney Houston's connected to Elvis. She met Elvis as a kid because her mom used to work for Elvis as part of Sweet Inspirations. So Elvis unique, man. I mean, whatever. I'm just running my mouth. But anyway, thank y'all for being patient. And if you like the words from Brother Herb, please spread the word. We all be TV. Also, want to support the movement because knowledge is powerful, knowledge, information, but also we need that currency to make it work, keep the lights on, all that stuff. Think about it. If you got motivated to move and inspired to do your own research and your own critical thinking, think about supporting We All Be Moving. Cash out your support, $ R2C2H2. That's $ R2C2H2. You can Google Pay, PayPal, and Zelle your support. The email is r2c2h2@gmail.com. That's r2c2h2@gmail.com. You can Vimo your support at r2c2h2. That's at r2c2h2. Also, buy Art of His Art. Go to www.r2c2h2.com. That's www.r2c2h2.com. You can wear Art of His Art. I got my Muhammad Ali shirt. Muhammad Ali was good friends with the greatest. He called Elvis the greatest. He said Elvis was original. That's Muhammad Ali saying that. He spoke at Elvis's Elvis Week at Graceland back in August of '85, and he spoke very highly of Elvis. I didn't know Muhammad Ali had that type of respect for Elvis until like several weeks ago. So I mean, I'm just quoting with the black, and we did a show, the secret relationship between blacks and Elvis, the secret relationship between blacks and Elvis. Check out that show. Like I said, I'm doing this work, man. I don't got no staff. I don't got no budget. I'm out here freestyling and researching. We got some good shows coming up this week and beyond. But just support our Elvis, and we'll support y'all with the information. But I'm trying to see what I want to share right quick. Yeah, go to buy some Art of His Art that you can wear. It's our Teespring location. Check us out, man. Look at all these shirts, man. Hoodies, shirts, all types of long sleeves. We got it all. We got it 16% off. Type in use code SWEET16 to celebrate our 16 years of We All Be TV and radio. We started January 7th, 2007. Ain't no stopping us now. Look at all these interesting shirts. And it's about our people. Even got an Elvis shirt. Oh, I'm all shook up in the Elvis shirt. Different colors. So this is all my artwork. I'm an artist. But I'm saying they don't want to mess with me. They don't want to knock me off. And people start seeing the greatness of Ron Hurd. Oh my God, this man was phenomenal. That's how we do our people, man. It's like be girls out here getting tattoos on their chests of my name and my likeness. I can't even enjoy them because I'll be dead. If I think like that, it's a very morbid way of thinking. But our people love death. Yeah, that's the Eminem Blood Brothers, Malcolm and Muhammad Ali. So this is the shirts we do. Like I said, 16% off on the shirts. Let's send in honor of 16 years We All Be. It's the link. Okay. Thank you, Sister Law Dog. See, good to see you. And thank you to the moderator, Sister Luna. We love you madly. You said Lucy. Yeah, I'm working on it, man. I'm looking at different ways to do this, man. This has been a very challenging year already. Sister Cinnamon. I think it's Cinnamon. I think I know you are, Cinnamon. I think I know who you are. You are definitely Sunshine. He's Cinnamon Sunshine. This is spiritual warfare. And that's why I said I don't hate, like I said about the cops. I don't have this hatred because, like, how can you hate these people? They're like, how could they hate their brother to beat him up like that? I can't hate nobody look like my cousin or relative. No, like like I said, Carolyn Bryant Dunham is out here living her best, worst self, and nobody's saying nothing. Okay, I'm listening. Thank you, Lucis Tate. We love you madly. Attn, I appreciate you receiving this. So I think y'all a good crowd. Oh yeah, thank you so much, Black Butterfly. Thank you so much. Danny Bakewell owned it. He probably sold it, right? But yeah, he looked like he white, but he a brother, man. He definitely a brother. When he opened his mouth, you can tell that he's proud to be black. But they had that rally with Death Row and Tupac was still alive. They're talking about politics and stuff. And Tupac was too dangerous, man. Because he, like he said, if 5 million people buy my albums, it's 5 million voters. They had to let him go because Tupac probably would have organized his own political party. Like I said, he studied Fred Hampton when he was growing up. His mama made sure he knew about Fred Hampton and what he did in Chicago. I'm talking about Fred Hampton Sr. Thank you so much. It was Danny Bakewell. Yes. Thank you so much for that. You must be out in L.A. I think I know who Butterfly is. Hey, sister, me. Yeah. Al Green got this great song. People don't even know, like, Al Green got a unique catalog. He got this song called Mimi, and it fits you to me, Mimi. Yeah, I think I keep on getting reincarnated here because I haven't learned my lesson. I think I'm getting the lesson now though. Yeah. Thank you, Sister Luna. Great moderator. And congratulations on your, whatever your personal achievements and professional achievements. Good stuff. Thank you, Cinnamon Sunshine. I really appreciate you staying up with me. Yeah. Pac was on the different stuff, but I mean, he caught up. He's a human being. He got caught up in the vices. I mean, Tupac did his fair share. He lived a whole lot of life in 25 years. So, and also, I guess another way to support will be got the Patreon. I got to start. So I'm gonna start doing some fan appreciation stuff very soon. Cause a lot of y'all been rocking with me for years, been supportive, very timely in your support and donation. Y'all been donating. So this is another thing. Join us on Patreon, man. Cause like I said, YouTube is getting very strict. Like they removing videos I did years ago with Dr. Short, Dick Gregory, Judge Joe Brown. They removing videos. So we're gonna bring it. We're gonna find different because media is the most powerful entity on the earth. They have the power to make the innocent guilty and to make the guilty innocent. That's power because they control the minds of the masses. And like what Ida said, the people must know before they can act, and there's no greater educator than the press. Because they'll be canceling Ida Wells right now. So you can always sign up and join the movement there. It's like this year already flying by. It's about to be March in no time. So I got my marching orders. Like Baba Dick Gregory used to say to me, we in the army. We don't like the commands and all this. Get the hell out the army. Because we in a universal army for truth and justice and liberation. So on that. So I gave you almost 3 hours of stuff to look over. Oh my God, what's wrong with me, man? I'm just so weird. Let me see. Let me get you out here and read the disclaimer. I'm shutting it down. Thank y'all, the moderators, supporters, and the people that I think I know, but I don't know if that's you or not. But let me know if that's you. Cinnamon Sunshine, let me know. Black Butterfly, I think I know who you are. Not sure. I know Law Dog. What's up? What's up? But let me get out of here. Disclaimer: the views expressed. Let me see. Am I on here? Yeah. Okay. There I am. Here I am. Okay. I lost my page. Let me see. Disclaimer: the views expressed by hosts and guests on the We All Be TV platform are not the official views, opinions, beliefs, or perspectives of We All Be News or the We All Be Group Incorporated. We All Be News is an organization that thoroughly believes in supplementing the information narrative that is usually supplied by the corporate news entities with those viewpoints and expressions which may be marginalized or ignored for a plethora of reasons. We are about informing the general public on alternative perspectives as it relates to news and information and letting the general public be the ultimate judge in deciding on how to use said information. Informed citizens are responsible citizens. Thank you for your support. I can change my voice like everybody else. I'm weird. But anyway, thank you all. Thank the moderators, the donators, and all that will come and support. And I welcome all that support. And I got so much to offer. Like I said, it's some stuff that I get a chance to cover, but it's almost 3 hours. I ain't gonna go another 3 hours. I gotta go to work. I got a weird life, but I hope I meet some of y'all in a good place. But thank y'all. Okay, so you Cinnamon Sunshine. I'll check you out. All right, Night Nurse. Thank you for taking care of Law Dog. She's good people. She's precious cargo. Please handle her with care, and she deserves all the love and care in the world. Thank you, Sister Law Dog. Good night, Sister Cinnamon Sunshine. I look forward to finding out who you are. Thank you so much. I hope you have some content on there. I love to hear your point of view. Thank you, Brother Lucis. Thank you for the advice, man. I'm looking at it, man. It's gonna be interesting. This is like I guess I'm in my midlife crisis. I'm 42. Maybe, I don't. It's not a midlife crisis, maybe midlife opportunity. It's time for me to move, man. If they don't want you there, I want to go where I'm celebrated. I'm tired of this being tolerated. I want to be celebrated now. I'm getting too old for it. We love you madly too, Sister Law Dog. You already know. Love you madly. Thank you, Lady Technique. Thank you. We love you madly. And Sister Sunshine Cinnamon, love you madly. And that does it for this edition of We All Be. We all be in it to win it. Words of the great and immortal Duke Ellington. We love you madly. In the words of yours truly, Brother Ron, keep on producing and pushing. One love. Y'all know how it is. Know that the best is yet to come. And the marathon continues, man.